Welcome everyone to a special Broken by Concept episode with your main host today, Coach Curtis. Nathan is not here, unfortunately, so I'm going to be soloing this episode. And we've got Xaryu. Shout out to Xaryu. Thanks for coming by today. I appreciate you spending time on your weekend. It's a pleasure.
I'm really excited to be here, Curtis. Thank you so much for the invite. And I was telling you on the pre-show, thank you for accommodating the weekend with that little guy. It's really nice to be able to do this today. So I'm excited to be here, and yeah, let's go for it.
So, I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of you before, coming into the league space. Something we try to do is really be a little bit more attentive to other people coming in and having a go at the game, because as you probably found out, League is a very challenging game.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the easiest game, and we really want to try and help people or learn a little bit about why they want to play League, and maybe give them a few pointers. Now, we did an episode with Ludwig who had a go and was brand new to League, and that was a funny experience. And we've been trying to reach out to Grubby. We hopefully will get him on the show soon, just as our schedules haven't aligned. And taking a look at your journey so far, it's been really awesome. We'll talk a little bit later about you got some coaching from Shock. So shout out to Shock. He's actually a coach in our Midland Academy. He's a long-term, friend of mine. So I'm glad to see that. So I guess where I want to start here, I want to talk a little bit about gaming background. Okay, gaming background is something we talk a lot about on this podcast, because gaming background it plays a big role in terms of how quickly you can pick up a game. Right? You've obviously got a very sophisticated gaming background. Can you walk us through? Who are you? What game do you come from? What's your gaming history like?
Okay. I'm Xaryu. I come from World of Warcraft. It's like the game that's been my bread and butter since like 2004. And I mean, I love WoW. WoW is my favorite game of all time. I've put so much time into the game, and I will always have a very special place in my heart for WoW. I played Arena at a high level for a long time, I guess. So in WoW, we call them rank 1 titles. And when you're not a WoW player, people are always like, what does rank 1 mean? That's like the top guy, right? And so rank 1 originated being called rank 1 because it was the number 1 player on each battle group. And there was I think 13 battle groups or 11 or something. And it was like the top team on each of those. At some point, they merged, instead of 11 or 13 battle groups, they merged into one battle group, and it's like the top 0.01%. So I think that might be something like Challenger, maybe. What's Challenger in League?
Yeah, it's like 0.0. I think it's more than that. I think it's 0.0001%. It's
okay. Yeah. So maybe it's like a step below, like
Master. Grandmaster or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So
is this PvP or PvE?
PvP, yeah.
PvP. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so this is Arena. This is like 3v3.
Okay.
So I was in that kind of like that highest bracket, which is 0.1% in WoW for, I guess, over a decade straight. So 20 plus rank 1 titles and a bunch of tournaments. Now, I didn't do BlizzCon because there was like a Arizona state law that basically said you can't do any gambling tournaments. And for some reason, the way that the tournament was written and coded, it was like a gambling tournament. So I couldn't actually do the biggest one, which was BlizzCon, which was a real heartbreaker for a long time for me. But we did a bunch of minor tournaments and won most of the time on those. And that was awesome. We did 6v6, 3v3, 10v10, bunch of different types of tournaments. And they were sweet. And so, yeah, tournaments, rank 1 titles, and World of Warcraft. In terms of my gaming background, I played Hearthstone when it came out. I hit Legendary the seasons I played Hearthstone, and I thought that was a really, really fun game when that came out. And I'm trying to see if there's any other even slightly impressive stuff. I think that's mainly it. I've kind of dabbled in some other games here and there. I played New World a ton when it came out. There was no ranking and anything like that. But I like normally MMOs. I'm an MMO guy. I kind of hop on the newest MMO. And honestly, I didn't really want to play League at all. And my friend Peekaboo, you might know him, also started playing League. And I was talking to him on the phone, and he's like, dude, you got to try League. It's super fun. And I was like, I don't know, probably not. And then I talked to him again on the phone, and he's like, dude, you got to try. I was like, all right, dude, I'll give it one day. I'll give it one day. I'm not super into it. And then I played one day, and don't tell my stream I said this, but I got pretty addicted pretty quick. It's very fun game. Um, and I'm kind of rambling here for a minute, but the reason I find it so fun is because in WoW, like I said, I love World of Warcraft. It's always my favorite game, but in WoW arenas, the PvP part of it is such a small part of the game. And if you do something really cool, it's usually very niche and a lot of people might not even notice, or since it's such a small subset of the game, of the larger game, that not like a ton of people like really care as much. But in League, one of the things that I immediately noticed is when you do a really cool play, like everyone gets really excited because everyone can tell, and this is very exciting experience, and everyone really, really, really cares. And just watching MSI over this past week and a half, it's like, yeah, people really care. Like this is really exciting. And then on the other end, when you mess something up and you miss a flash or miss a CS on the cannon and everyone -1, and people are also care that it's funny that you like suck and you messed up, or at least that's the way I see it. And it's like, it's great. It's a fun time seeing like so many people invested in the experience. So
interesting. I mean, there's so many things I want to talk about there. But so just while we're on that topic, you can hear me all good, by the way. My mic sounds okay for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, basically, you said this whole thing about like people caring. So how is that different in WoW Arena? Is it that like the things are so subtle that people miss what you're doing, or is it more that there just isn't a massive, sophisticated kind of PvP audience?
I mean, there's both. So like the PvP audience from WoW always ebbs and flows, and like I said, it's like family to me. It's like it's just more of a niche community, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's fantastic, and like I said, I always love WoW PvP. I never want to sound like I'm coming down too hard on it. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely just more niche. And then in terms of the gameplay, like watching the gameplay itself, there's like two things that come to mind. The first is, imagine League without objectives. So ARAM, like an ARAM. But each champion has like 40, 50, 60, 70 keybinds. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to miss stuff. Right? Like you're going to miss stuff.
It's so, in that case, it's so complicated. Like I've always looked at WoW PvP and I've had so much respect for, I've always thought like this is something Nathan and I my co-host, he comes from a WoW background and he was a WoW player, but I was more of the FPS player, and we would have arguments like who's the best gamers, the best FPS players in the world, or the best WoW players. And he, very early on, I didn't play WoW, but I kind of knew WoW players are just, they're a different breed. WoW is so impressive. Like I already kind of knew that, you know what I mean?
This is like a really good conversation. So I was talking to Double Lift and Lena and Peekaboo about the same thing. Like, so like what's more challenging, like WoW or League? And we were talking to Tyler One about this. And at the end of the day, after playing a bit of both now, because before I didn't really play any League, so it's just more speculation. Now I've played a few weeks, which is still not very much experience, but I would say overall, League seems like it has a higher skill cap than WoW. And like I said, that's just from playing a few weeks. But I think WoW combat is more complicated. So what I mean by that is if League was only ARAM and it was WoW Arenas versus League ARAM, I would say, yeah, WoW is a more complicated game. But League isn't ARAM. League has so much macro, right? You have multiple lanes, the jungle, right? You have TP, ganks. Like you have to keep an eye, like someone like Faker, when you watch his gameplay, it's not just him playing his character, it's him looking at the whole map always while playing his character. And that's an incredibly hard thing to do. And I think WoW, like kind of like a StarCraft 2 Pro or something, or any of these what the genre of StarCraft 2?
Like, RTSs.
RTS, yeah, any of these RTS pros, it's not just controlling like one unit, like the micro. It's like there's a lot happening, right? There's so much happening in macro. So in WoW, the combat is hard. Like there's so many spells, there's like 40, 50, 60 keybinds, like there's so much complexity. But the only thing is it's team deathmatch, or it's not even team deathmatch. It's if you die, you're dead. So it's everyone focuses on the combat. So it's just an ARAM. Right now, WoW does have something called like a battleground, which there is like objectives and stuff like that, but that game mode isn't as popular. So like that would almost be a better one-to-one comparison. But in terms of just like the absolute difficulty, I think League would be harder. But in terms of the combat itself, you know, like WoW has difficulty there. So yeah, it's like this ongoing conversation that it always comes up. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I think you raised some good points because okay, so League, at least for me, like WoW, what has always impressed me about WoW is the complexity of the combat in terms of there's line of sight, which is really big. I remember, you have to like use things to like block particular abilities, like the line of sighting thing, and also just like fake casting. And like, so you like, I'm assuming that's the thing, right? Where you cast the ability, but you cancel it. So it doesn't get interrupted. So that whole thing of like, you have to understand what the cooldowns are and then time your interrupt. And then that's your window. Then you can like, so that whole thing in WoW, the mechanical, the timing mechanically, I think is very, very high level. But because there is nothing cerebral, like bigger picture that you have to think about outside of killing that one person,
Right.
Your entire mental stack can be allocated towards kind of achieving that one goal.
Yep.
Whereas in League, it's like, I would love to focus on killing this guy, but I can't because I got to consider my jungler. I got to consider my bot lane. I got to consider the neutral objective. So it's almost as if like, yes, you're right. The combat itself is less complex in League, but it's almost as if there's so many other things going on, that it's quite overwhelming.
A really perfect example. So we were fighting in Dragon Pit. This was Elder Drake. It was a back and forth 50-minute match. This was like last week. And it was like, whoever gets this Elder basically wins the game, because it was basically like we're both on Nexus. Like this is just super, super close game. And it's like Elder spawns. We're there. We're fighting it out and we win. And I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm so excited. 3 seconds later, it says defeat. And I was like, what? The Shaco backdoored us with fighting that Elder. And I was such a noob, I didn't even realize because I was just focused on the combat of the Elder fight. And and we had a good fight, but we were missing a player and he backdoored us and we lost. So something like that is a good example.
Yeah. And I'll say the other thing as well about League, about it has this crazy snowball element. And I think that's one of the big challenges of League.
Yeah.
And that's the toughest pill to swallow about League, the snowball element, because you make one mistake at minute 3 and that can cost you the entire early game. And I do want to get into that later on in terms of some of our philosophy and something that may help you in your journey. We'll talk about that later. The other thing about League as well is that in WoW, you kind of have all the information. Where you know what I mean? Like you have all the information, but in League, you literally don't have all the information. Like people say, League's like chess, but it's actually not like chess, because in chess, you have all the information. There's nothing I don't know. I know where all their pieces are. They know where all my pieces are. And it's like, let's go. Whereas in League, it's like, well, there's fog of war, right? I don't have all the information. I don't know sometimes where the jungler is. I don't know, if they duck out of vision. I don't know if they're roaming or they're not roaming. There's like an element of like, League is a game of kind of like a lot of making a best guess. It's like percentages. It's like, okay, 80% of the time. Yeah, calculated risk. Exactly right. There's a lot of calculated risk. And that's why you just need so many reps to understand, like, what's likely going to happen in this scenario. Is this a high percentage play or is this a low percentage play? And I actually view League the most like poker. It's like you can make the best decision, but you might still lose, right? It's like you have 2 kings and it's like you play this hand. It's like, well, but they have 2 aces. It is what it is. Statistically, that was actually the best play. It just didn't work out. And this is the whole philosophy about, you're only going to climb. And this is another tough pill to swallow about League, is that you're only going to climb with something like a 55% win rate. Most people, you don't have like, and this was hard for me coming from FPS, and I'm assuming it might even be for the same for you coming from other games. Is like in FPSs, if you're really good, like you can have like an 80% win rate. Like you can just skyrocket in ranks because there's so much control you have over the game. In League, you're just one person in a game of 9 others, and you only have such limited impact, right? So it's very, that's another big challenge. Have you found that to be challenging for you as well?
Yeah. So in WoW, we have something called solo shuffle, which is basically kind of like SoloQ. It'll put 3 people versus 3 other people randomly, and then it'll shuffle the players to kind of reduce the amount of risk. Or like if someone sucks, like everyone has to play with the guy that sucks, right? Or if someone's really good, it is kind of cool. Like the concept is really cool. It would be like if every time you had a 5v5 in League, you would fade the 5v5 and then everyone would kind of shuffle and you would
The
keep
same
playing
players.
that would take like 8 hours.
but yeah, that wouldn't work, I guess. Yeah, like because it's a lot of time, but like
it's a lot of time. But
in principle, it's good. In principle, it makes sense.
If you win, so it would be a best of in WoW, it's a best of 6. If you win like 5 out of the 6, with all the different kind of people on your team, or say you win 6 out of 6, and you had the good players and the bad players, but you won the 6 out of 6. But anyway, what I was going to say is it's that same thing with SoloQ. Like for me, I'm super used to that. Like super used to like. It doesn't affect me mentally. Like I'll be streaming and everyone in my chat is, saying this and that. And I'm just like, yeah, guys, that's just part of it. That's just part of SoloQ. Like I get it totally. I also used to coach WoW arenas for many years. And like one of the things for people that were already like really good, but wanted to be like rank 1 or like take that next step. One of the things was like, they were at like a 55% win rate and they would stop queuing. And I'm like, dude, you had a 55% win rate. Just play more. Like you were there. Like, why did you stop? And it was like, oh, my partners or my teammates got upset. So we just stopped. And I'm like, dude, you guys had it. Like you had the rank 1 title. You would have finished in that highest bracket, but you just didn't queue. Your win rate was there. Yeah, you can have 3, 4, 5 losses in a row, but that's part of it. You have bad queue sessions. So for me, like my mentality is like, that's totally fine. I totally get it. And yeah,
that would give you a massive edge, by the way. That would give you a massive edge in League. If you come in with a sound mental like that, you're going to have a massive edge. We'll come back to that. All right. So there's one thing here. I tuned into your bio on your Twitch, and I'm just going to quote here: making gaming a healthier space through a positive gaming environment and equipping gamers with the tools to take control of their health and fitness. I thought this was so cool. It was such an articulate, awesome like way of kind of getting across your message. Can you maybe elaborate on maybe what your philosophy is with your Twitch and what you're maybe trying to do with your content?
Yeah. So I love games. I've always played a lot of games. And as a kid, I played like too many games and I didn't have much balance in my life. And I think a lot of us can probably relate when you don't have balance in your life and you play like 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours of games and then go to bed and wake up and do it again and again and again and again, you start to kind of feel depressed and feel pretty terrible after a while. And that's how I felt. And it sucked. I didn't feel very great. And I think as I got a little bit older and I added a bit more balance in my life and I met my wife and kind of, I had the like sleep schedule where I'd stream from like 9 p.m. to like 5 a.m. It's like the night schedule, like 7 days a week. So I never took a day off. And I did that for many years and it's fine, but I think that it just starts to really take a toll on the mental. And anyway, I these days I really wanted to like dedicate my stream towards just leading by example, being like, look, we can be gamers, but still take care of ourselves. Right. And so for me, it's like very simple. We have the like 6 dailies that we talk about on the stream, which is like getting outside, moving your body, staying hydrated, talking about sleep hygiene, just like getting some type of quality sleep in, socializing, and eating well. And I'm not like a nutritionist. I'm not giving like any crazy specific recommendations, but it's like fruits, veggies, and protein. Like let's, instead of like just fast food every day. And because I've been there and I talk from a place of experience where it's like, it doesn't feel good after a while. So I think what really motivates me and excites me and gets me up in the morning is like being able to share that message, because I've been on the other end of it and it's a dark place. It sucks, and it's like, I just want to like share that experience with others and be like, look, you can game and still take care of yourself. And it's then even better, right? Because then you have a better mental going into the queue session. And if you lose 3 games in a row, you can handle it mentally versus get tilted and start making worse mistakes, right? So it's like you take care of yourself, your real life improves, but the gaming sessions also improves. That's kind of the kicker, is that it'll actually help the game as well. So that's kind of the whole motto of the stream, the message of the stream. And I don't try to be this guy that just sits there and goes live and preaches it every day.
Yeah,
because no one wants to hear that, right? I try to just be the guy that does it myself, and I have the tools people need. Like, so we have a cookbook, we have like a bodyweight program that we put out to like help people kind of get started, in the kitchen or in the gym. And like, that's kind of, it's like, if people have questions, sure, I'm there. I'm going to do it myself. I post on my Instagram, kind of all the stuff we're eating and like working out. When I say we, my wife and I, and that's kind of it, right? I don't want to be too nosy in other people's business or telling them you got to do this, but I just want to show that, it is pretty nice if you balance out your life that way.
I absolutely love that, man. I think we need more of that, I think, in the gaming space. And something we talk a lot about on the podcast is, having a process, taking, as something you've probably found in the gaming space, a lot of people don't view gaming as a serious hobby. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to say, "Oh, yeah, I play tennis, and I'm going to go and I get a coach, and I'm going to go out there and get better at tennis," people kind of think, "Oh, yeah, that's a respectable hobby." I understand that, but if you say, "Oh, I really love gaming, and I take my gaming very seriously, and it's something I'm really passionate about, and I actually want to take my game seriously," it's almost as if, like, in the culture, it's something that's frowned upon, or almost as if, like, not taken as seriously, or it doesn't have as much respect. And I think the reason why that is the case is because gaming common has this association with escapism, I guess, trying to avoid responsibilities, gaming in your parents' what's it called, like your parents' basement or whatever. And it has so many of these negative connotations. And I think that that's reasonable to a certain extent. There are people out there, and I think many of us know people that or we've even been there, where you have used gaming as an escape when you're younger. But I think there is a time now where people are starting to realize, you know what, you can integrate gaming in a healthy way in your lifestyle. You can, have a healthy relationship with gaming. And what does having a healthy relationship with gaming actually look like? And I think that's something that is such an important part of, our podcast, and one of the biggest reasons I wanted to reach out to you, funnily enough, when I saw your stream, and seeing a champion of this message is something that is so important, and I hope we see more of this moving in the future from other people, because we love games, right? We love competitive gaming, and seeing people have an unhealthy relationship with gaming is one of the saddest things. And we always say in this podcast, League can be the greatest thing in your life, or it could be literally the most toxic thing in your life. It can bring you down, and it will annihilate you.
Hey,
like any game.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's exactly kind of what we're talking about on the stream, and I think that's exactly right. And people always ask me, as a new player to League, what's been my experience, right? Because it's this funny thing. It's like, okay, we have this real exciting, like, positive guy, and he's going into League. And when I first started, everyone's like, "Zar, don't do it. Don't play League. It's gonna ruin you," and all this. And after playing for a few weeks, I've seen some of the chat messages and this and that, but really the experience is what you make it, right? I see someone that types something, and for me, I can let it affect me, or I can just be like, okay, this guy, maybe he has a point, or maybe they don't really know what they're talking about. And, like, I don't even necessarily have enough experience to know yet, but after getting coached by Shock, or like getting coached by Yushi or some other like multi-challenger players, it's like, and they see what the people are typing in the chat, they're like, oh yeah, this guy just didn't know what he was talking about. So a lot of the times I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's not something that's really going to affect me. It's just someone that's typing and they're angrily saying something. So I'm only a few weeks in, but I haven't had like too much of a negative experience. I've seen some things that people have typed that aren't super nice, but other than that, like, I've had some really, really fun times, and some really great gaming experiences. So it's been solid.
I think this leads into a beautiful segue. What were people telling you about League? What are the specifics that people are saying? Be careful, or watch out,
This is funny because I normally play WoW, but I've done a bunch of variety segments on the stream, and League being one of them. And I've played a lot of other games, and a lot of the times I'll be like, "Hey guys, are you excited about talk to the chat? Like, are you guys excited about trying out this game?" A lot of times, yes, no, whatever. League is the first game I've ever played that I was like, "Hey guys, I'm thinking about trying League," and my whole chat says, "No, turn around, go the other way." Like, it's like, and I found that really fascinating, because it's like the biggest esport in the world, I think, right?
Yeah.
And Peekaboo convinced me already at this point, so I was like, already gonna try it. And I know a lot of people love it, and I was talking to Double Lift about the game and WoW and like this just a couple weeks before I tried it too, and so it's kind of like in my head already. And I couldn't believe how many people were kind of just like warning me of how toxic it is, or how whatever. To be completely honest, I mean, like I said, I have experienced some of that, but I think any competitive online gaming space is going to breed toxicity because of just the nature, right? So, like, if you're playing competitive tennis or basketball or something in person, and you lost, and you started raging and stomping your feet and like cursing out the other player, you wouldn't get invited back. And not only that, like, everyone would probably like hate you and shun you because that's not socially acceptable behavior in real life, right? And like, or even like a little league, like baseball game or like a soccer game growing up. If you do that in like a high school game, like, you're going to get thrown out. Like, you can't behave like a child. Now, on the internet, you can, and you can kind of get away with it because you're anonymous. So I think it's this perfect, like, breeding zone for just like toxicity is competitive online experiences. So we see the same thing in something like Solo Shuffle. We see, I mean, I've heard it in like Counter-Strike and in League and in Dota, whatever. So like, I don't know. I've seen it since I grew up on the internet, right? I've seen it the whole time. So it's nothing new to me either. It's not like I'm just like a complete normie coming in from real life, like going in and just being like, wow, people are mean. It's like, no, I grew up on the internet. Like, people are mean when there's no consequences, and I understand kind of why. And I always have the perspective that if someone is typing something really negative in chat, like, I don't even want to say it. Just you know what I'm saying, like really bad. That they're probably in a bad place in their life, right? Like they've probably had a really bad day or maybe a really bad week or year. Because like, why else would you type something like that to someone else on the internet unless you're in a place to type something like that? And at the end of the day, all I can do is show a little bit of empathy of like, man, that person felt the need to type out that message. And like, at the end of the day, that's kind of where my head's at with it. So not only does it, I try not to let it affect me, but it's really just like, man, sending some love to that guy who felt the need to type that. So
I see a lot of myself in you, because you're kind of this, like, you're at the later stages of your life where like you've played games for a very long time. You don't really have a chip on your shoulder anymore. It's like, okay, I've proven what I needed to prove,
right.
And like, and that allows you to just be a little bit more empathic. It's like, it's like, I don't, it's like,
man.
It's like, I might have messed up here. Okay. I messed up here. Okay. And like, you kind of read between the lines of what they're saying. It's like, oh my, you're so shit or whatever. It's like, okay, well, how did I contribute to this situation? Maybe I did do something bad. Maybe they have a point. I don't.
So some people have typed that, and I'll and when I know I messed up, like, it's very clear. Like, I just did something really newbie. I'll just be like, oh, my bad, man.
Yep.
Like, like it happens. Like I've played with some of the best, players in WoW arenas to ever do it. And they still make mistakes here and there. But the difference between players that I really like to play with in WoW and players that I didn't like to play with as much is the players with those positive mindsets will mess up and they'll just say, oh, my bad. And it's like,
own it straight away.
Own it straight away, because they know what they did. I know what they did, but I'm not trying to like point the finger. Like, so someone who's really good, let's take like Peekaboo, for example. He's a really good WoW arena player. He still makes mistakes all the time, but I know that like 90% of the time he's going to make the right choice. And 10% he might mess up or whatever, or say 99-1 or whatever. So when that 1% happens where he messes up, it's like, yeah, we can expect that that'll happen sometimes, but like, you're making the right choice like so much of the time that like, that's what I signed up for. Like, you're a great player, right? So that's kind of how I think about it. And when we're playing in Bronze League, I know that people are going to mess up like 80% of the time and do the right play like 20% of the time, or, I'm making up the numbers, but like I'm expecting players to just completely mess up all the time because that's the league we're in. Now, if we're a challenger, I would have different expectations if people are making constant mistakes versus one or two major ones a game or whatever. So that's kind of just the perspective on it.
I want to go deeper here. I'd love to get your take on this because, okay, so in gaming, I think there's this layer of like you said, there's anonymity. There is, we're in a competitive environment. We're literally playing ranked, right? So everyone's trying to win, right? That's another element. But also, I think there is in gaming, there's a lot of people where gaming is their thing. Now, I don't know about what your situation was in high school and stuff, like, but a lot of us who take gaming really seriously, we weren't maybe the best athletes in football or in a more traditional sports. And we chose to direct our attention in games. And that was the way, that was the cornerstone, at least for me, where my confidence came from as a man, really. It's like, I learned about myself through gaming. I developed confidence as an individual through gaming, and I got very, very, very good at games. And that was my thing. Right. And so when I was younger, if I lost a game or I didn't perform or someone judged my performance, that was a jab at my self-worth and my identity. It's like, you'll say, if I'm bad at games and I've built myself up to be this, in my mind, this great player, and you're telling me I'm shit, well, then I got to say something back to you, because I got to defend my ego. And I think league and gaming, especially when you start to get in the high ranks, or just not even the high ranks, also just rankings in general, there are a lot of people where gaming is their thing. It's the cornerstone of where their confidence came from. And if you jab at that, if you haven't got to the point in your journey where you haven't separated your own ego or yourself as an individual from your performance on the Rift, that's where shit gets ugly very, very quickly. What are your thoughts on this whole thing, and do you resonate with it at all?
That was really well said. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. I look at like a younger me, and that was me in WoW, right? Like, so in high school, I didn't play sports. I was like, people at my school knew I was really good at WoW, and they called me WoW Kid, right? Like, it was like my whole identity was WoW. And then I went to college and kind of did the same thing. I was just queuing to get rank 1 over and over in tournaments and rank 1. And like, that was my whole thing. So it was my whole identity. And yeah, I cared a lot more. Like, if someone was to type something, this was, probably over 10 years ago now. If someone typed something, it was like a jab at me, versus like, now it's like you said earlier, like, I've proved what I had to prove. Like, I've done my thing. So it's like, now I'm gaming for fun because I love it, and I get to, stream it and share the experience with the community. So trying out a new game like League, I have zero ego associated to it. I know I suck, right? Like, but that's like the whole appeal. I think like people want to see me experience it for the first time when they've played for 10 years. And like everyone knows I suck, right? So there's no like huge like chip on my shoulder, like I need to prove this. So yeah, no, totally resonate there. What's interesting about what you said too is like in our, like in American culture, gaming isn't like this super cool, like socially acceptable thing to like, I think you said this about 10 minutes ago, actually, like to like super try hard and have as a hobby. And I was talking to my chat about this a few weeks ago when I started League, because I was asking, why are Koreans and Chinese players so good at League? Like, why, when you watch the tournaments, it's just very Asian dominant. Like, what is going on there? Like, how is that possible? Because in WoW, it's like not that way at all, right? In WoW, it's like Americans and Europeans usually win BlizzCons. Like, what's happening? And my chat said it's like a social thing. Like, there, it's not like it's like this really cool thing to be a really good League player. Like this really respectable, exciting, cool hobby to be. If you're insane at League, it's like you're pretty cool. And I think like we're seeing that more, especially after the whole like 2017, 2018, 2019, like when Ninja was doing collabs with Drake and gaming started to be like kind of cool. Like we're starting to see it like a little more here, but it's still like a much, much different culture, I think, comparatively to like how it's treated in the East.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very complex thing. I mean, we could briefly touch on it. I've got my take on it. I'd be interested to hear what you think. But yeah, like I think you're right. There is an element of like, if you go to Korea, you go to those like PC bangs, and like there's like, if you're good at games, I mean, it's just like a community. Everyone's going, right? After school, you go into the PC bang, or like it seems like it's very integrated in the culture, right? So that's one layer for sure. But I also just think there is this. I can't maybe fully speak for Korean culture, but I can maybe speak for Chinese culture. My partner is Chinese, and I've been to China and like just seen it. And this thing that I think a lot of us don't understand in the West is that we're incredibly privileged in the sense that if you fail, let's say you do something and it doesn't work out, it's like, oh, it's okay. I can just do something else. I can go study and go back to uni or whatever. And it's like in a lot of these countries, if you fail, you're done. Like there is in like, it's brutal. Like you either make it or you're just at the bottom. Like there is no, it feels like to me, there is no middle ground. It's like it almost feels like within the in China specifically as well. And I think it's similar in Korea. They don't have an amazing social system where you don't. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Australia, it's like we have something called like Centrelink, where it's like if you fail, let's say you don't have a job, things go to shit, you're going to get money from the government, and they're going to help you out. And no matter what happens, you're going to have social. There's going to be social housing, like you'll get food, you'll be something. But in these other countries, China, you're fucked. Like you're like done. And there's this culture where it's like, if you're going to do something, you have to make it work. You have to be the best. Otherwise, don't even try. Like, don't even try. And to the point where in China, it's so specialized. Like, if they think that you're going to go down be a weightlifter, you're already in a weightlifting school by the time you're like 12. Like you're dialed the fuck in. You're really, really dialed in. And I think that breeds an element of like it's elitist, incredibly elitist. And in the West, elitist culture is almost frowned upon. We don't have an elitist society. It's very like, it's okay, participation award, give you a pat on the back. You can be late. And we're lazy. I genuinely think the West is just lazy. And that's my controversial take. I think the majority of us are lazy. And if you're not lazy, you will make it in the West pretty easily, honestly. Like you can make it very easily. But in everyone is busting their balls there to make it. That's what, and I think that breeds an intensity in their games. I think it breeds an intensity in the way they compete, but it also lowers creativity because that's the trade-off. It's like you have less creativity in a way because you're just grinding and putting mass hours, and you have to make it. It's do or die. And it's the same in like other Eastern countries, like Vietnam and stuff. They actually come up with some amazing gamers in Southeast Asia and Vietnam. Why? They have a lot of poverty. So if you make it, great, you're set. If you don't, you're just done. That's kind of my. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely a lot of like eye-opening things there, especially with like the idea of mastery. It reminds me of, I watched a documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's a Japanese documentary. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And it's like this whole idea of like when you do something, this is Japan, so, not China or Korea, but when you do something, you want to do it with a level of mastery and a level of like respect to the art of doing that thing. Like you're really trying to become an artisan here, not just like doing something to do it. And I love that philosophy. I really enjoyed that documentary. But yeah, I definitely think we can see it. I have a counter question for you though. So, and I'm not up to date on Counter-Strike, but as far as I know,
by the way, I don't follow
okay,
so maybe I'm not the right person to ask.
I thought like in Counter-Strike it was like a lot of European dominance. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I don't know if it's completely just Asian dominant. And then in like WoW arenas, there was always the Asian team that came to BlizzCon, but they usually didn't win. It was always like America or Europe. So like for me, it's like, well, why on League is it just like so dominant? Whereas in some of these other games, you don't see it. And it's like, so like, that's why I was talking this to my chat. And it's like, well, those games aren't as big there or something, or like
it's just a player base. I think it's just a player base. That simple. Like in China, like League is huge. Like it's massive. Like I genuinely, Counter-Strike wasn't really that popular in my opinion in Asia. Like back when I played, it just wasn't that big. They had another FPS back in the day. Can't remember the name of it, but there was other FPSs, and that's also why. If you think about I think I could be completely wrong here, but intuitively, I think the massive FPS in Korea was Overwatch when it came out, and they got really good at Overwatch. I don't know if they were winning everything, but I think it's just literally just popularity. No one was playing it, and I don't think those games were as big. And especially in a lot of those Asian countries, I don't even think WoW was that big. I think they also had a lot of other MMOs, didn't they?
They do have a lot of MMOs. So yeah, that actually is an interesting question. So WoW population, I think like the majority of players are actually in China, but then the comparative population, China is also just way bigger. Like there's so many people. So it would be interesting to see like the comparative demographic from like the overall WoW player base comparative to like NA, Europe, and then China. But I don't know those numbers off my top of my head. But like in China, WoW was actually like, or is still huge, like massive. But like you said, comparatively to other games, maybe not. So yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
mean, it's all speculation, right? We don't know. We're not sociologists or whatever. I don't know, but no, it's interesting. I think it would be interesting to hear what the comments think about this discussion. It's something that I'm also really fascinated about. Why is it? But yeah, I literally just think it's just their work ethic. It's just the work ethic. I think really for the most part. Yeah. So there's a lot here I want to get into. So okay. So you at the moment you're playing jungle. You played a few roles. I think you've dabbled in mid. I think Shock did some coaching with you in mid. I think now you're playing jungle. So I want to just get your thoughts. Like, where's your head at with roles? Because this is a big topic in League. How do you know what should I play? How do you know what role you should play? This whole thing. So where's your head at with roles and all that stuff?
Okay, so I'm not like completely set on any role. In fact, I kind of want to try some top lane, to be honest. I don't really have much interest in like ADC or support, but I want to try more mid laners, like caster mid laners, like I've tried like a lot of like the melee ones, but I want to try like Lissandra more, Vex more. Trying to think of another like caster, maybe like Hwai or like some of these other ones that are just like pure casters, because I haven't like actually done that too much. And I actually played a caster in WoW, so everyone's like, why aren't you doing that, you moron?
Perfect. Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm used to. And I also want to try top, which leads me into something. I'll answer your question in a sec, but this is the hardest thing for me in League is, well, one, I've never played a MOBA before. So it's my first MOBA. But two, I have never played a click to move game before. To me, mechanically, I'm using so much of my mental capacity moving my character, because I've played all the MMOs I've played. You move with QWASD or like WASD. So like New World or WoW or a lot of these games, you move with the keyboard. So I haven't really played like a top-down game like click to move, and it's very, very, very different. Like, so for me in WoW, I'm just like very comfortable like moving my character to avoid a spell like over and over, and people are like, wow, how do you like, you make it look so smooth? And it's just like, well, I've been playing the game for 20 years, but in League, I'm like tripping over my own feet trying to click. And like for me, it's not that I feel like my micro is awful, because it still actually might be my overall strong suit as a PvP player, but I have to think about it so much that I can't think about the rest of the macro, which is like more important, it seems. So that to me has like been one of my biggest hiccups. It's like, man, if League had WASD movement, which I'm hearing they might add, maybe, I think I would just instantly be better. Like a game like Smite, where I could just move with WASD, I would just be like, oh, I think I would instantly be better. I've never played Smite, by the way, but I think I would instantly be better just because I can move my character how I want, instead of fumbling over my own feet. But getting back to your question, so I played mid, and I played a couple hundred games, and my first games I went straight into ranked. So after never playing, I just queued and hit ranked. And now looking back, maybe that actually wasn't very like nice of me. Like the way I thought about it is like, I'm in Bronze League and I'm a gamer. I'll probably like still own, like, but I was really wrong, and we can get to that in a second. But anyway, I just queued my first games ranked after never playing a MOBA, after never playing a click to move game, and like, yeah, it was a pretty brutal experience, right? With no coaching, just like went in, like, I'm like, what does that like champ do? I knew nothing, man. And then I got autofilled to jungle a few times, and my jungle win rate was like 75%. But I only had like, 2 games, 4 games, 8 games, because there's only autofill. And my whole chat keeps saying, Xaryu, you're a better jungler. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, it's just a small sample size. Like, this is silly. So I was like, you know what, guys, I will primary role jungle until my win rate evens out, just to prove you guys are wrong. And I didn't know anything about jungle. At this point, I played mid for a few hundred games. I got coached, I studied, and I peaked at like silver, but then like I tanked back to like bronze 3 or 4. And then we were kind of like going up and down, and we were having a rough queue session. Like, I'm talking like 5-6 losses straight. It was brutal. And I was like, you know what, guys, let's try jungle, just because everyone's like, your jungle's better, your win rate's better, because they're linking my OPGG's And I'm like, fine, guys, let's just play jungle so I can prove you all wrong. And then we won like 10 games straight or 10-1 streak. And I was like, that's got to be luck since I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I have no clue what I'm doing. And then I went to bed, woke up the next day, and we queued it again, and like another good session, then another good session, another good session. Anyway, we just hit silver again, from bronze 4 to silver in 38 games with a 72% win rate. So my win rate's still 72% after 38 games. So I'm actually kind of scratching my head, and I'm like, man, my chat was right. Am I actually just a better jungler than a mid laner? Because based on the numbers, it seems very clear. My win rate, by the way, on mid lane is a little under 50%. It's like 45, I think. But keep in mind, I learned the game on mid lane. So like those first 100 games just were pretty rough.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's a bit hard to say because you would have gotten better at the game through those games. So yeah. No, but it's actually a very common experience, by the way, what you're experiencing. So I'm gonna just hypothesize. Again, I haven't necessarily seen a ton of your play, so I can't comment extensively, but I would imagine that you're very good at just fighting. And what I mean by that, and I did see this in a bit of your play where okay, so there's a lot of like fighting things that you would have learned from WoW intuitively. For example, you wait to chain CC an ability, or you wait for someone else to go in and then you go in, or you position in a way with your body language that kind of just makes sense in that particular scenario, or you understand intuitively how terrain works, or you understand, when maybe you should hold your ability a little bit. And so I would
sorry to interrupt, but one of the things that I find crazy intuitive that like doesn't seem to make a lot of sense in lower elo is if you're behind, you don't want to pick a 5v5 fight.
Yes.
Like you're behind. So you have to do things like split push or play for picks, or like you have to pick their mid or ADC and then force the fight.
Or just say no, sometimes just farm.
Right. Just farm and AFK a while, or like you have to get an elder then fight, or like steal an elder then fight, or steal a pair. Like you have to like play for something. That's just like crazy intuitive, and I've never played because it's like this is like Art of War. If you've read that book, it's like if you're behind, you have to like imbue certain tactics. Like you have to just like do that, no matter what game it is, right? Whether it's real war or whether it's like WoW or League, it's like you have to do that. Now, if you're ahead, you want that 5v5 fight. Like you don't want to get picked, right? Like I feel like the number one thing in Bronze League is like climbing through it. I've noticed is like we're ahead. We have like a 6 or 8 kill lead, and then there's someone that might be doing pretty well. Maybe they're 7-0. But their CS is maybe not the greatest or whatever, but they feel good because they're 7-0, and they just run down middle lane solo and die like 4 times. Yep. And it's like, dude, we're ahead. We want 5v5. We want to just take them on, force that fight and win the game, or force the objectives because we are stronger than them. So we want to just fight them. So I guess that whole concept came very naturally. And after never playing, and I was never coached this, but it just seems obvious. But this is something that I'm seeing these players, and it's way crazy. When they're ahead, they're running in solo and dying, and we're behind. Well, they're also running in solo and dying, I guess.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. These are things that you know about the game or gaming in general from your experience. This is why gaming background matters a lot. Right, you understand things as like man advantages. You understand like, okay, well, like we're behind, like maybe we shouldn't fight. But these are things that, funnily enough, even though you kind of say them and like, oh, that's obvious. It's not obvious to the average player, believe it or not, because they're not thinking about winning the game. They're just thinking about getting kills. Like it's like there's someone in front of my face. I'm strong. Let's go in. There's no context of the map state or the context of like winning the game. And I think that's what I observed from you. It's like, yeah, maybe you don't have the most sophisticated laning, and maybe you don't have the most sophisticated champion mastery. But at the end of the day, like you're like making a lot of good, strategic, like you understand intuitively a lot of these strategic concepts, but also as well, like even in your fighting, you're actually employing a lot of like nuanced tactical things. Like there's this thing that Nathan and I talk a lot about when people first start playing League in the lower ranks, let's say bronze and stuff. They think that League is this game where it's like, you'll think about, talk about warfare, right? It's like the old school, like, like in the 1800s, like one team is lining up, one country's lining up on one side, the other country's lining up on the other side, and we're all going to run at each other, and who can do the most damage, right? But
Right.
there's no tact, there's no like strategy. It's like League is more like guerrilla warfare, where it's like I want to use fog of war. It's like I want to use advantages. But people think in League, it's like, all right, I'm going to get strong and I'm just going to slam my abilities in their face. they're going to cast all their abilities. I'm going to cast all my abilities, and whoever has more damage wins. But that's not how you need to think about League. That's not it at all. It's like, but what if we target one person? What if we come from a different angle? What if we actually use fog of war? What if we actually, these sorts of things, you're understanding. But that's not intuitive for a lot of people. So I think that's why and I guess in a long-winded way, why I think you're better at jungle, by the way, is because jungle allows you to leverage those strengths because there's no laning phase. You probably are missing a lot of things in lane. Your lane fundamentals, your wave management, your resets, your warding and leaning, everything else is probably like those fundamentals. They take time to develop. You don't have those skills yet. Whereas jungle, you can bypass all of that. And if you're quite cerebral in the way you view the game, and then also your fighting is okay, you will win. You will win a lot of games. And that's probably what's happening.
That sounds pretty right. Yeah, no, I haven't really thought about it from that perspective. That seems probably what it is. Because like when I'm jungling, like a lot of these games, like my first game of jungle, or it might have been my second game of jungle ever. So I'm completely clueless. Yep. I went 20-0, and I was like, I never have had a 20-0 game in mid. After 300 games, I've never had a 20-0 game in mid. Like, how did that just happen? And, it turned out it was just a good game. It's not like I'm doing that all the time, but I'm averaging 72% win rate with an average of about 10 kills a game, or 9 or 10 kills a game, with like almost a 5 KDA, MVPing like most games. And I'm like, this is way different than mid lane. Like everything feels different. But yeah, I think for me, what it felt like is jungle, I can posture the game a little bit. Hey guys, we're taking Drake now, and people will listen to my call. Hey guys, we're taking Baron now, and people will listen to my call. Like I can build tanky. I can be the guy that initiates the fight or says we're not going to fight, because people aren't just going to, hopefully they don't run in, as an ADC or a mid laner by themselves, which sometimes happens anyway. But I can like kind of posture the game as that as the jungle. As the mid laner, I felt like if I pinged Baron, I can't like start it and solo it. So I'm not really that guy as the mid laner. As the mid laner, I felt more like if my team was doing things, I could show up and support that, but I couldn't really posture the whole game.
Well, this is, there's a lot of, I have a few random questions here. I don't know why. I just want to ask this. How old are you?
I'm 31.
You're 31. And what month were you born in?
September.
Okay. Is it what's that star sign, out of interest? I don't know.
I actually couldn't tell you.
Okay, all right. I don't know. Don't worry. We'll talk about that later. There's a reason I asked that question. When I see you, I don't know. I just see so much of myself in you, and the way you think about the game. You are a mid laner, dude. Okay. I can tell you, you're just a mid laner. You need to play mid, right? And the reason you need to play mid is because mid lane is that role that is the perfect balance between being a leader, but then also a carry, but then also like it would leverage your strengths as like if you're drawn to mages and casters, that's where you should live. And so there's this massive misconception in League that like jungle role dictates all the macro. And yes, in the early game they do, but a mid laner dictates basically the entire like past length, like past 10 minutes to like, the entire rest of the game. Mid lane, it's like it's the mid laner's game. They're in the middle of the map. They're the ones that kind of dictate what neutrals can and can't be taken for the most part. They're the ones that can really like own the map. They dictate how the map is played holistically. And so the jungle role is more about identifying win conditions. It's like, how do I win this game using everyone else? Whereas mid laner, it's like you're doing that as well as being being kind of like a major carry. And so I think champs that you would love, I can see you in the long run gravitating towards mid laners that can play the map. Sort of like there's like a subcategory of mid laner. They're kind of like roamers. So like Twisted Fate, Talia, even Galio. These are champions that they can be very cerebral. There's so many things you can do to kind of impact the game. But in order to learn those champions, what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to learn the archetypal control mages. You are going to have to learn how to play a Victor or a Syndra or an Orianna or even a Hui, Mel. These are champs that like you have to learn because they will teach you the underlying fundamentals. And then you could expand to those more roam-oriented champions. And so right now, you would have the most success playing Diana or Diana jungle or your junglers in general. But in a way, similar to what we said with Ludwig, it's a band-aid solution because you're bypassing all the things that you actually need to learn. So my 2 cents to you is like, ride out your jungle thing. You should come back to mid, learn that mage, and dial in there. And if you were to do that, you would have so much fun and satisfaction. You would get that you'll have that power fantasy of like being the carry, but also being a leader. And you can really take control of games. And that's what my whole philosophy about mid lane, or the way I like to teach mid lane, is all about. Obviously learning the fundamentals, having a consistent first 8 minutes, but then taking control in the mid game. What neutrals are we contesting? Well in advance. Like, when Dragon's coming up, what are we doing? What are we going to do about it? We're going to trade it. We're going to give it. We're going to fight it. How do you want, that's the job of a mid laner, in my opinion. So I think you would absolutely love that, man.
Yeah, no, totally. And I thought about it the same way as you did. So I was Iron when I started, and we climbed to Silver as a mid lane. And then we just, like I said, we like super tanked. And to be fair, I was trying a lot of new champs. I tried Aurelia, which I did terrible with, but I love the champ.
She's so hard, man.
She's cool. Like, dude, the combo where you like E in the Fog of War.
Yeah.
And then you Q and kill a minion. So you're like getting really close to them, and you E behind them and they just get stunned, and then you Q to them and you have 4 stacks and you just start slashing them down. You can ult and then spam Q again twice more and kill them. It's like, whoo, that's fun. But yeah, I'm probably just like too noob to play her because, I'm a noob, but man, it was fun. So anyway, I tried Aurelia and like I tried a bunch of champs and just tanked super hard. And then, yeah, we climbed again from like almost Iron back to Silver playing jungle. But this time it was just like a way better win rate. Like, and then even in the games like we lost on the climb, it was still basically like MVP of the game, right? We were like I remember I lost a game where I was like 18-4, and like we had like all these objectives, but like it was just the game. We just didn't win the game, right? It's like which is part of SoloQ, which is fine. But so I was like, man, am I really just a better jungler? Because I could not climb this way. But I think, like you said, it's kind of a band-aid solution, right? I'm skipping all these things that I suck at and then I can kind of just, as the jungler, do my jungle rounds, which is mechanically a lot easier, right? Like you're not really contesting it, but it's a lot more of like the mental strategy. Can I invade? Am I going to get invaded? Can I gank this? Because I can kind of tell, like, can I get this kill or not? Like after a couple hundred games on Diana, it's like, okay, yeah, like they're gonna die or not. So like those decisions seem a lot easier than like the laning. Like, should I freeze? Should I push? Should I roam? Should I fight this? Should I? It's like it seems like a lot to learn there in that early game. So anyway, I do want to try some top lane champs. I want to try Aurelia top, and I also want to try a lot of the mid lane mages. So I gave my chat like a choice. I was like, we can either just keep riding out jungle with this 72% win rate and see where the win rate starts to drop, right? Which maybe is very soon. And just see how high we can get. Like, would I drop at Silver 4? Like, would I drop at Silver 1, Gold? Like, I don't know. Or should we just like say, okay, let's tank. Let's try some new champs. Let's try top lane. Let's try a bunch of mages in the mid lane. And we'll probably tank back down to like Iron or low bronze in the process. But like we could learn a lot of different champs, which has also been like a really hard thing because, man, when I first started League like 2 weeks ago, so I guess very recently, three weeks ago now, the hardest thing was like, I didn't know the abilities. It's like, I remember my first time I tried to run up and 1v1 at Trundle at level 2.
Get your head beaten. Yeah.
How was that a mistake? And I tried to 1v1 on Silas at level 1. goodness gracious, that was dumb. And like, I had no idea. But on the same token, I would like run away from I'm trying to think, like I would run away from like completely out of mana, like Vex. And like the whole chat's like, Bro, you could have killed him. Like, yeah, you're at 35% life, but he's out of mana, no ult, like he's dead, and I'm running away. Right. But I'm like, dude, I don't like, yeah. So those types of things were really tough when I got started. I mean, they're still tough since I fight champions I've never fought still.
And there's so many champs, right? There's so many champs in the game. That's what that's why the league's what's it called? Skill floor is so high because there's so many champs that you just need to learn. I don't know what that champ does. Well, and this is, you know, on the topic of new to league, there's no way around it. You literally have to go out there and play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games and just figure shit out. It's like, oh wow, okay, that's what Trundle does, or that's what Silas does, or that's what. And there's no way around that, right? There's no way around that. You have to have those painful experiences, and that's actually one of the big critiques of League, by the way. People say, well, League now has so many champions. How does one learn the game? You know what I mean? Like the barrier to entry is now so high. Like when I first started playing back in season 1, there was way less champions. You know, everyone was trying to figure it out together. But if you come in and play like now, as you've probably found out, there are so many champions. Like where do you, like, you're just going to get annihilated for so long. You know what I mean? So I think that it's a criticism of League, but at the same time, once you put in those reps and you understand the basics of what all the champions do, that's when the game starts to get very fun, because it's like, there is, you know, it's like, oh, I know what Trundle does now. Okay. And then that you can actually start playing your champion properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's definitely increasing, like in fun is like more I'm understanding. Like, especially with like a good game, it's like, oh wow, we actually had like a nice game for once. Or we got the objectives, we did well in lane, or, you know, in the jungle or whatever it was. And it, like, I planned things in my head and they worked. Like, wow, like, normally that wasn't happening. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I would argue though, and people might disagree with me here. For the people that have played WoW and League listening to this, I'm curious what they think. But I would argue that WoW has a harder barrier of entry than League. So I came from a game that's, I think, I would argue that even harder to get into from if you've never played. Because there's only, what is there, like 12 different classes or something, 10, 11, 12. I don't even know. I think like 12. But the complexity of like the talent trees and like all the different spells is one thing. But to even press Q in Arena, to even just start playing Arena, you have to level from 1 all the way to max level, which is like 80 something. I don't even know right now. They always change it, 75, 80, whatever it is, like the max level. And you have to like level. So you have to like quest, and like it's an MMO at its base. It's not a competitive game. So you have to spend an incredible amount of time just leveling your character and then gearing your character, and the amount of research to just level and gear and then get the keybinds to the macros. And I earlier, I think it was one of the first questions, I said there was 2 things that make WoW harder to watch or people to be less invested in. The first one was just the player base being more niche, and the second one, and I forgot to mention it, but now I remembered, is you need add-ons and macros. So in WoW, you can't really play at a competitive level without the add-on setups, because it'll basically, like, imagine in League, you could have an icon over the enemy's head that told you when their flash was up, when their ult was up. For everyone on the map. So you knew exactly when the ult was coming up. Not just an idea, but exactly when. And you can time it in the chat, right? People do that. You type like flash, or, you know, in 5 minutes, and you can think about it. But you have an add-on that literally puts the icon over their head. If that existed in League, everyone would use it, right? Like that would just be super OP. And WoW has this for like every decision that you would need to make. Okay. So like you could, back in the day when I started WoW, all of these things were more intuitive. You had these intuitive approaches. Like, okay, I think he doesn't have this up for like 10 more seconds. So let's do an offensive push here. Let's do a go. Let's see what we can make happen. But now you have like a supercomputer, basically, like you're behind like a rocket ship, and it's like, yeah, this comes up in 6.4 seconds. Like we can do it. Like we have everything calculated to a T because of the add-ons. So now the game is almost more of a science and less of an art. So when you're coming in, and if you like, so you have to hit 1 to max level, and then you have to get all your macros, your keybinds, your add-ons. Like you could play WoW for a good month or two before even playing Arena. And then that first time you play Arena, you're going to get dominated for like a while, right? So that's why like I would argue that like getting into League is just still so much easier than WoW. So I came from that perspective of like, oh, I can just like press play. Wow, that's easy. Like, oh, I don't have my rune page set up, but there's recommended ones that are pretty good. Wow, that's easy. Oh, I don't know what to buy. Oh, recommended buy orders. You know, obviously they're not right all the time, or they're probably wrong most of the time, but like they're still okay for bronze. Most, you know, might not be perfect based on the game. Like you know, should maybe change your boots around to these items, but like they're pretty okay. And it's like, wow, I could literally just play. Or I don't know what the champions do, but I can kind of just set up a rune page, set up a character, and press play and get in there. Like for me, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty remarkable. Like you could play WoW for months before your first game, right?
That's such a refreshing take, by the way. And no, it sounds like you're spot on. I mean, I can't even imagine how overwhelming that would be. But yeah, like I think that people are so critical of League. They say, oh, the introduction is terrible. The bot, you know, the new player experience is so terrible, but it's so refreshing to hear someone say, "Oh, it's actually not that bad comparatively to X." And but yeah, I didn't know that
compared to like other actual PvP games, right? It might be bad compared to Counter-Strike, because it's like in Counter-Strike, there's not 180 champions you have to learn or whatever, right? Like so, comparing it to an MMO might not be the best comparison, right? But still, I had to give my perspective because I come from like the other end.
Yeah, I that sounds incredibly overwhelming. I don't, but that gives them that ties into probably why you're doing so well in League so early on. You know what I mean? Like people spend years.
I don't know if I would even say I'm doing that well.
Dude, I'll give you perspective. I'll give you perspective. I had friends that played League for years and were in bronze. Years.
Okay, dude, my perspective going into it, like, and I've just been so wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong. I thought I would go in and just be kind of like, no idea what I'm doing, but I would just be smurfing in bronze. Like I would just be dropping 10, 15 kills most games just because I'm bronze and and I'm a gamer and like, you know, I have this like gaming experiences. Like I'm gonna farm out of bronze without knowing anything. That's what I thought. And then I thought like silver would be like a small hiccup with a little bit of coaching. I'd be gold. Like I'd be like small silver hiccup will be gold. And then I thought I would be kind of hard stuck plat for a little bit. And dude, it's been 2.5 weeks and like we're silver, but like the amount I had to really try hard. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. I had to get coaching, VOD reviews. I had to study. I'm just like, I had to try as hard as I could to get out of Bronze League. And I couldn't believe how hard it was. I even thought to myself, I was like, do I just suck? There's no way. Am I just bad? Like, you know,
I'm so glad you mentioned this because what you've just said there is what nearly every person who comes into like, you know, I run like a coaching academy and a coaching program, and people say, oh, I was X rank in this. I was Radiant in Valorant. I was this in this game. And I was an ex-pro Dota player, whatever the hell it was. And they come in and they say, I expected this. And now I'm faced the reality and I'm what the hell? Like it's their confidence goes through, you know, gets annihilated. And I always say, I mean, I'm maybe talking to you, maybe I'm going to change what I say here, but I always say League's the hardest game in the world. That's what I always say. I think League is genuinely the hardest game in the world. And I literally say it's an impossible game. The human brain doesn't have enough mental capacity to, you know, to play it. It's not possible to play League properly. And so what I mean by that is that there is so much going on. Even when you look at challenger games, so many, you know, something you said at the very beginning, and I wanted to come back to this, is that you look at challenge level games and, you know, your friend Pickable or whatever in WoW, he said he makes a few mistakes. In League, mistakes are made all the time because the game is so hard that it's impossible to not make mistakes. You can literally look at Chovy. Chovy's probably arguably the best mid laner in the world. and he will make mistakes. You're like, what the hell? Like, if I didn't know who was, I remove all the name tags, I wouldn't be able to tell if this was like a diamond game or a challenger game. That's how hard League is. And so it's an impossible game from a mental stack perspective. So in saying that, like, I always tell people, you have to manage your expectations. League will be unlike any other gaming experience you've ever had. And there's that and League will humble you. Everyone watching this has been humbled by the game at some point in their journey. And I'm glad, like, to hear that you've realized very early on that it's an incredibly hard game. And but you have to make peace with that idea very early on. It's like, oh, okay, this is harder than I thought. Now you have to treat League with respect, because if you don't treat League with respect, it will obliterate you.
Right. Yeah. No, that's really well said. So going into it from WoW, and I know this is going to sound really cringy and silly, but I'm like, it's 4 buttons. Like, how hard could 4 buttons be? But what I realized very quickly is League is a game of macro. And so it's not a game of just like the fight. That's a big deal. There's still a lot of complexity with the 4 buttons, but it's like, man, even if you have a great fight, but you just didn't there's a whole map of stuff going on. It's not the 4 buttons. It's like everything. And I talked to Double Lift about this before I started playing League. And he asked me a question. He said, do you think you ever played a perfect game of WoW? Right. And you probably know where I'm going with this. And I was like, well, no, but like, we've had some pretty darn close ones where it's like that game went really well. And you know, it sparked a conversation because Double have said, because I know I've never even been close to a perfect game of League, right? And it's like, to piggyback on what you're saying, like, even the best players in the world, like the Chovies or the Fakers, it's like there's so many decisions to be made based on everything that's happening on the map. You can only play to a certain level of excellence. And like, once you get close, it's like pretty darn impressive, but you'll never actually hit it. And so it's a beautiful game. I've come to really respect the game. I'm like, wow, this is awesome, right? Really, really cool. But yeah, it's definitely, I was going into it like 4 button combat. Yeah. Come on, you know, like, geez, yeah, it's definitely been way different than that.
There's one thing that I want to push back on here, and I think for the sake of your journey, you saying that League is like a strategy game or a macro game or whatever. I would argue over my years and years of coaching and playing is that League is actually the majority of the time a fighting game. It's actually so the way we teach League is that it's a fighting game first and then a strategy game second. And when people come into League, they think it is a strategy game because they think, oh, there's rotations and objectives and this and that. And yeah, sure. But honestly, for the most part, if you know how to fight well, you understand how to fight well with your character, and you understand how your champion interacts with all the other champions, you can have incredibly unsophisticated macro understanding and win majority of your games. Because the reality is that fighting well will make up for nearly every single aspect of your gameplay, whereas good macro won't really make up for much of your gameplay, because at the end of the day, you have to kill the enemy. You have to fight the enemy, and that's the only way around it, basically. And macro game will start to come more into play Emerald Plus. That's when macro becomes a little bit more important. But I have seen people, believe it or not, even in like high diamond, with extremely unsophisticated macro, and they just fight really well.
This is actually really eye-opening to me because, so there's a bit of ego when I say this, and I'm gonna try to, like, I just want to like be straight up.
Be transparent. Be straight up. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So when I hit silver, and the amount of mental computations I was doing, I was thinking, okay, we have 90 seconds till dragon spawn. I can do one more rotation. I might have a time for a gank on the way. There's a 4v5, but they're going to spawn. Like, I'm just thinking like all this stuff because I've been coached by challengers and some of the best players, and it's like, cool. And then I was thinking, this net resulted me silver. So what are all of the things that I'm thinking a silver player's thought process or a bronze player's thought process? And I started thinking like I said, there's a bit of ego here of like, am I the average bronze? Is the average bronze player thinking as hard as I am about this stuff? But what you just said made me realize maybe they're not. Maybe they have more game knowledge than me about how the enemy champs work, and they're doing just as good or better, even like maybe silver or gold. And maybe my mental thought processes of a lot of this macro stuff is actually higher level, but my capacity to actually like understand the champs is just so low. Like I still like, I'll fight a champ, I'll be like, I don't know what this guy does. Like I need to just play passive because I don't know if this guy's melee or ranged, or I don't know if he's gonna jump on me. Like I remember the first time fighting Kane, he was running on the walls and then jumped on my back, killed me in one hit, and then ran away on the wall. I'm like, this guy just broke every rule I know. Yeah. So maybe like, yeah, one of the biggest things is like I just don't even know how to fight because I don't even know the abilities of all. Yeah.
Okay, so there's so many things I want to talk about here, and I'm going to say something that may be a bit controversial. I don't give a fuck anymore. The challenger players. Okay, so the average challenger player will a lot of the time do more harm than good when helping a lower elo player. They don't know how to coach the game. Coaching in League is an art, like anything. Coaching is an art. Just because you are good at the game doesn't mean you know how to coach the game. And so what happens, right, is let's say let's say X pro player, challenger player, and they try to help their buddy at the game. They're so far disconnected from the new player experience. They have no idea what they should or shouldn't say. And so coaching is not about what to tell. It's not about what they should do. It's a lot of the time what they shouldn't do. And so I could sit there, I could analyze your game for 5 hours. But my job as a coach is to be like, okay, if there's 99 things, 100 things that I could say to you, maybe only one or two, I might mention one or two, because they're the most important things, the most bang for buck value concepts that you need to understand. Now, what a challenger coach does, or a challenger player does, is that they're not thinking, how did I climb when I was a beginner? They're just thinking, there's a bunch of things here that they can learn. I'm going to sound super smart saying it, so I'm going to say that. They're not thinking about. They don't have coaching experience, and I'm going to be the first to admit, because I worked in the pro scene for a few years, and competed at MSI and Worlds as a coach, and I worked with pro players for many years, and then I did a full 180. I moved into coaching the average player. Now, coaching a challenger player. From coaching challenger players, pro players, to coaching a silver player was one of the most humbling experiences I ever went through, because I realized I don't know. I did not know. It was harder for me to get from someone from silver to gold than grandmaster to challenger. And in my mind, how is that possible? If I'm a challenger player or a challenger coach, surely I should know how to help the average person. And I realized I was terrible. I was actually making players worse. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, I was making players worse. And so
it's like they're overloaded with all this info that they're like missing like the number one basic things that they were maybe even doing before.
Exactly right. So my point is that you've probably been given a lot of information that is completely useless, literally useless, or to the point where it's sabotaging your own gameplay. So
I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. I don't think it's that controversial of a take. That seems pretty legit. So one of my struggles is the Twitch chat has a ton of advice, and a lot of it's probably right and great.
Yeah,
but it's just I'm getting bombarded.
It's too much. There's so much stuff, man.
Like the last thing I need is like more advice. Yeah. It's like I need less advice.
You need less
advice. Shock has actually done I got to shout out Shock. He's done a great job of that. Every time we do a coaching session with Shock, he gives me like one thing to focus on, maybe 2 or 3 things to focus on. And he's like, this is the lowest hanging fruit, is what he always says.
Yes.
Let's just do this, because these are just easy, low hanging things that like will help you. And then he always says, next time we'll focus on more.
Yeah.
Like we're not even going to go into all the like in-depth stuff that could go better this game. We're just going to like get the low hanging fruit. We'll fix that and work on that for a week or 2.
Yep. And
then we'll go into the next. And so Shock's done a great job of
that. Shout out to Shock. Shock's a great coach, and he's someone that understands that. And like you're probably going to get a lot of advice from a lot of people outside of Shock. So just be wary of that. Take everything with a grain of salt.
Dude, it's so and I have to be very grateful, because everyone's coming from a place of like they just don't want me to be Hearthstone bronze, and they're trying to give me a helping hand. So I don't want to not sound grateful, because I really am. Dude, the amount of people that have wanted to come help is insane. It's like, shout out to everyone who's ever sent me a DM saying like, can I help you? But like the other end of it is like, it's so much info that it's like, I almost want like, like one thing like per every week or so to really just focus on. And then to your point, I feel like so I haven't really made this claim before, and I'm curious what you think. So that like 10 CS per minute mark, something that it's like, okay, that would be an awesome goal to hit, right? Cool. But obviously low rated elo, they have like 4 CS a minute or 5, or like maybe if you're getting better, you're like 6 or 7, or maybe even get up to 8. And it's like, cool, nice. My claim that, and from my experience, is that when you're playing Bronze League, and then I watch someone playing like Emerald or Diamond, and then I watch like Challenger, and then I watch like Pro, is that like at a Pro League or a Challenger League, a lot of these players on the enemy team and on your team dedicate a certain amount of the game to farming and don't just force ARAM fights over and over. Now in Bronze League, it's this like force ARAM thing, right? That everyone's just running down middle and dying over and over. And you kind of have this decision, like even as a jungler or a mid laner, whatever lane, it's like, I can do my route or clear my wave and then do my turn, right? That's what you're supposed to do based on my understanding. Like you want to clear your jungle and gank, or like clear half your jungle and gank, and then clear the other half, or like clear your wave during your turn, then you go gank top or bot or go steal raptors or whatever it is. Then you get back, clear another wave. Now, my experience in Bronze is like, they already picked the fight. The fight itself was bad, right? The fight was bad, but you can make a difference by showing up. And if you don't, your teammates will then die and then do it again and then die. And then they snowball the game out of control and you end up losing. So then so the claim I'm trying to make is like in low elo, it's almost like, it feels almost impossible to get that 10 CS per minute unless you just let your team get crushed. And it seems almost like more of a reasonable expectation to help your team, and you just get like lower CS per minute, but you're there in that helpful hand in not every fight. But then when I watch like Diamond play, it's like, oh, these guys actually aren't just forcing, like you actually have a chance to play how you're supposed to play as the elo goes up. And then like when you watch like pro level, it's like, okay, yeah, here we go. Like these guys, they're really like doing this dance, and everyone's kind of doing that dance and they're respecting it. And it's like at Bronze, it's just so ugly. And it's like, man, if you never show up to a fight and you're getting 10 CS per minute, like your team's already lost. So
yeah, there's a lot there. I think you've intuitively understood something. So I'm going to try and break it down for you just so you can understand it. Okay, so first things first, 10 CS per minute is not something you ever aim for. It's the culmination of many skills, right? So I never, ever, ever in any of my coaching sessions talk about farm numbers. I don't care because farming is a byproduct of many things, right? So for example, as a laner, if I was to try and get 10 CS per minute, I would have to have great wave management, beautiful resets, matchup understanding, never die to a gank. I would have to have perfect map deployments. I would have to literally have every single, it's the culmination of everything together, right? So it's not just something I'm going to go in and I'm going to focus on my farm and get 10 CS per minute. It's the culmination of like every skill together that will get you 10 CS per minute, okay? So that's number one. Number two, if I were to play in Bronze, right, in Silver, I'm not going to play the game the same that I would play in a Master Plus game.
I guess that was kind of what I was trying to say, yeah.
Because, and the reason being is because there are so many opportunities to kill someone that I wouldn't farm. Well, I wouldn't. It's like
right.
I have the ability to kill someone. Why would I not kill this person? So my point is that the game is fundamentally different. And so my philosophy in League is that if you're a gold player, you're not really going to learn anything from watching a challenger player because those games play out so differently to what your games are. Your goal is to go for, if you're in, say, Silver 4, your goal is not to even play at a gold level. Your goal is to go from Silver 4 to Silver 3, and then Silver 3 to Silver 2. You need to adapt to how your games are playing out. And so the games, well, yes, there is a lot more grouping. And so there are...
Okay. So sorry to interrupt, but this is like exactly how solo shuffle is at low rating in WoW. So like you go into solo shuffle as like a really good player, and the high level games are going to play out one way, and like you as a high level player, you know that. But when you go into these low rated games, because I've done like challenges where it's like, oh, let's go in blind and see how long it takes to climb up, and then I win like 40 games straight, and it's like, oh, we're rank 1 again, wow, and it's like anyway, what I was trying to say was at these low rated games, none of them play out how they should. No. But as a high rated player, you can see where someone made a mistake and just punish them so darn hard that the game's over instantly. It's like, bro, you can't do that. I'm just going to shut that down. It's not really what I should do, but they made the mistake first. So I'm going to just punish it so darn hard. Game is over in like 10 seconds. And it's like everyone watching is like, oh, you just, that my games don't look like that. It's like, well, yeah, dude, they messed up hard. You punished it. Game's over. Let's get into the next one. And you just keep doing that. And that's how you climb. So like, I'm aware of that concept, but then in League, I don't have the game knowledge at all. So I don't even know when people are like doing things that you shouldn't.
But that's the thing. You shouldn't even, this is what I'm saying. You shouldn't even think like that. Like you're not there. You're not going to win like a Smurf because you're not like a Smurf. You are a silver player. So you need to win like a silver player, and winning like a silver. And so yes, there are those are the fundamentals there, which is like, getting your camps on cooldown and yada, yada, yada. But the reality is that there will always be more chaos, and it's in your best interest to adapt to the chaos and be at some of those fights, because at the end of the day, if a high elo player were here, they would also probably be at some of those fights as well. So your farm is inherently going to be lower in a lot of lower elo brackets because the way the games play out. Okay, so that's inherently embedded inside the rank. But this is where like understanding what makes a good fight and a bad fight really comes into play, right? So for example, like let's say, you pan your camera to a fight, and the one fight's like, okay, this is completely over. I need to look at that and be like, okay, I'm just going to go back to my camps. But you might pan your camera to one fight and be like, oh, my team's we can win this fight. You know what I mean? Like we can actually win this fight. If I go there, we can ace them or some shit. It's like, why would you not do that? Why would I? If the fight's going to happen anyway, it's probably in my best interest to be at that fight. And this is where the whole quote one of my favorite quotes is: "A poor play executed well is better than a great plan executed poorly." In League, and that's what League is really about. There's going to be a lot of suboptimal shit happening. It's on you to then adapt to the chaos. League's an incredibly chaotic environment, and so you can't come in with this rigid mindset. It's like I'm going to farm 10 CS a minute and then whatever. It's like, no, League's a game of and this is where as well, like League's a game of specifics. And when people start to talk in League in generalities, that's where League gets very complicated and very messy. It's not a game of generalities. League's a game of specifics. So people say, oh, I lost this game because my bot lane. Well, let's get specific. Well, what happened? And so like you got to retrain your brain to never think about, there's not really many things in League that are rules. There's like principles and reference points, but there's no one size fits all solution. And so I want to give you a high level overview. There's something that I think will help me make sense of the journey of League. Okay. So Iron, what is Iron about? Iron is about understanding, the way I view it, is understanding what all the champs do. That's what Iron does.
I'm not even there as far as I'm concerned.
Right. So this is the way, if you want to, I'll kind of give you an overview, right? So Iron is like understanding what all the champs do. If you understand what all the champs do, like that's it. You don't even have a lot of champ mastery or anything. A lot of the time, just through playing a bunch of games, you'll get bronze. Bronze is about leveling up your individual character mastery. It's like, okay, it's in your case, you play a lot of Diana. You know how Diana deals damage. What sort of fights does Diana like? What sort of fights does Diana not like? When am I strong? When am I weak? It's about me. If you get quite good at your champion, that will get you to silver. Silver is now starting to get better at the fundamentals of your particular role. It's like, okay, I'm good at Diana now. I know what all the champs do, but now how do I play the role properly? Okay, it's not about, because before that, it's not even about the role. It's about just my champion. Now it's about the role. What are the fundamentals of my role? Then it's like, okay, now I've got champ mastery. I've got I know what all the champs do, and then I've got the fundamentals. That will get you to, now you're in gold. Gold now it's in a point where I've got champ mastery, I've got the fundamentals, know what all the champs do. Okay, now I'm going to continue to level up my fundamentals a little bit, but for the most part, how does my champion interact with other champions in the game and with my team? It's like, oh, Diana plus Jarvan, or Diana plus Camille, or whatever.
Yasuo.
Yeah, Yasuo, exactly right. Now it's like, interesting. I can be a little bit more cerebral about how my champ interacts with other champs. And so as you get climbing ranks, all that's happening is that you're now broadening your understanding of how your champion interacts with the bigger picture of the game. That's what League is. So now it's like Diana into those 3 champions, or with these 3 champions. And you know what I mean? It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the point where in Diamond Plus, it's like, I see that composition, I see my composition. How do those compositions fundamentally work? And if I load into a game as a mid laner, I should have a pretty good idea about how top's going to work out. I should kind of know how bot's going to work out. I understand how the junglers, what they want to do. And you're understanding what all the other champs want to do. And so a challenger player, what makes a challenger player a challenger player, they have amazing champ mastery. They have great execution. They have that expanded mental stack, yada, yada, yada. Have consistent fundamentals. But their giant skill set is that they could be a challenger AD carry player, but they could know like how the top lane matchup plays out, and what that top champion reference points are, and what the junglers want to do, and how those kits interact. They understand everything about the game, and therefore League is a game of anticipation. It's a game of anticipation. It's not a game of reaction. So when I'm playing a game of League, I kind of know, well, if I've got a Shyvana jungle, I'm probably not going to get any ganks. It's going to take them a while to come online. They're probably going to want to prioritize dragons. So I have this backlog of what that champion is likely going to do, and how it interacts with my champion, and how that champion interacts with the enemy comp, and how that comp, you know what I mean? That's what League is all about. So at your stage of your journey, there's 3 things that are really important. Continuing to develop your understanding of what all champs do, and be super curious. If you don't understand what a champ does, go and practice tool. Play it. Literally jump in practice tool, jump at a normal game, play it. The second thing you should do is continue to champ cycle over time. You should play 60 games to one champ, then move on to another champ. 60 games to one champ, move on to another champ. You should constantly repeat this cycle so you're understanding and broadening your game understanding. And then you want to learn the fundamentals of that particular role, whether it be if you're a top lane fundamentals, then they're mid lane fundamentals, or jungle fundamentals. If you can do that, that's the fastest way to streamline your journey. Does that kind of like at a high level make sense?
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. I think like having you break it down like that definitely helps a lot. I think that 60 game mark is an interesting like heuristic. It's like, okay, because it feels like I played, you know, I don't know if I played 60 games of Vex. Probably not. Probably played like 20. But even like, I'm just like, okay, now when I'm fighting a Vex, I know that ult is something that like could come from Fog of War, and it's like something I should maybe dodge, or like I actually played a game, and I didn't actually make the play that I wanted to, but a Vex hit me through the wall with the ult, and I was like, oh, Vex is coming in. I'm gonna flash over or E over the wall with my Diana E like right when that happens, so that like when she's there, then I'm gone, and like she like wastes her whole ult, and like so. But I would have never known that if I didn't play Vex. I guess the downside, which isn't really a downside, like the short-term downside is you're probably going to tank learning a new champ. Like you're probably just not going to do as well because you have 0 champion mastery.
Yep.
But then the long-term upside is like, then you'll gain a more broader understanding and do well like further. But yeah, so most of my games have been on Diana, and yeah, like I said that like an hour ago, it's like I have the choice. I can either keep playing Diana and just see how far we can push it, which I'd probably cap relative, silver, gold anyway, like relatively soon-ish, because I don't have that champ master. Or I can like just be like, okay, we're probably gonna tank, but let's try a bunch of top laners, let's try a bunch of mid laners, and let's have some fun and learn a lot more about the game. So that sounds like maybe what I should really be doing.
You shouldn't. There's actually no point playing a shit ton of one champion, because you're missing so much about the game. And funnily enough, Diana, by the way, is actually a really hard champion. Something
I found Diana to be. I say Diana. I say it the Spanish way. My chat gets so
Diana
animated. Yeah. I found her like combo to execute fairly easy.
Yep.
I found her execution in team fights as an assassin relatively hard compared to something like a Lysandra or Vex. You have to get that nice flank. You have to hit that back line. You're very squishy for playing mid Diana. So it's like you have to like Q double E in ult on, and like maybe even ult flash onto like the spot you need to be into like a Zhonya's. And if that doesn't go perfect, you're useless. Like you're going to do so much less damage than like some of these other mid laners. But if you do that well, it's a great fight. So the variance of the good fight and bad fight seems like massive. Like the fights can either go really well or really poorly. Whereas like the consistency of a character like Vex, you go and press E in the team fight and it fears everyone, assuming you hold the passive, and you fear everyone. And then you Q down the middle, everyone has doom and gloom, and so they're feared and they take a ton of damage. Now, if you alt F4 and like just turn your computer off right there, like you E'd the whole fight and you Q'd down the center, you already like you contributed quite a bit.
You've done a lot. You've done a lot.
You've done a lot in the fight, even if you just completely AFK, and that's just like EQ, all right? Like, and no ult, you know, no, you don't even press W, you don't even ult and W in. You're just EQ, AFK, and you have done more than like half of Diana's fights if they don't go perfectly. So that's what I found. Like, it's an easy champ with the just okay. I'm just gonna QEW some auto attacks. You can min max it if you have like Lich Bane and like you want to min max the passive, sure, but like the execution is hard to find that flank every fight. That's what I found.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about Diana, because it actually is a bit of a controversial topic, because I say this, Diana's complex, and you touch on why that is the case, because a little bit. So Diana is a champion where like, if you like put a dummy in practice tool and it's like, do your damage, pretty straightforward, right? Throw your Q, E, W, R, whatever. But what makes Diana challenging is because you're extremely committal, right? If you go in,
there's no out.
There's no out. You're a one-way highway. And in League, that lack of flexibility is not easy. But also as well, like if the enemy is split or you miss that Q or whatever, it gets very confusing about how to like go about that fight. And so what I typically, when it comes to champion complexity, I think about two things. There's the mechanical execution. So that's one. So you think of a champion like Aurelia, that's mechanically very like, landing the E is not easy and things like that. But then also you have like reference point complexity. It's like, what does my champion fundamentally want to do? Right? What is my champ's identity? What is my job? Like, what should I do? And like, if you think of Vex, for example, it's very clear what your job is. It's like, I'm going to go in on the squishies and get my one combo down, try to one shot, boom. And also mechanically, Vex is way simpler than Diana. So Diana has one aspect of it, which I think mechanically is not overly complicated. But the reference point in terms of how you want to go about fights and like, what is your job? If you can't burst someone or you can't get in or, the fight is split, like, what do I do? Like, what is my job? You know what I mean? And I think that like the reference points and that it's very hazy in terms of like, you see a fight, I don't know how to approach this fight. You know what I mean? And so I think that for what I would tend to recommend a lot of people earlier on in their journey is pick champions with clear reference points. So reference points is basically these are like guidelines or principles that you follow with your champion, right? An example of a clear reference point champion, let's say a mid laner would be, again, Victor. Super clear reference points. It's like front to back team fights. I'm a mage, right? Everyone knows for the most part how to play a mage. And that way it's like, if there's a fight, I got to stand behind my front line. I got to keep my distance with my E. I got to place down my R. It's very obvious what I need to do. And when I know what my job is, then coming into fights, like all I got to do is do my job well. And I'm going to win more games than I lose. It's very like neat and tidy from like just like a mental perspective. And that's why I get scared when people say I want to play like champs like Aurelia, because they're actually complex in two areas. They're complex mechanically, and the reference points in terms of how I win a game is also very hard. Like, how do I win the game with Aurelia? What is my job in this game? Do I split push? Do I duel people? Do I group? What do I do? It's not intuitive. You know what I mean? So that's why I'd be careful in the earlier stages of your journey going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I love the idea of really understanding what you're there for. When I used to coach WoW, that was like one of the primary things I would focus on is what is your job?
Yes.
When you go into this game, what are you actually designed to be there for? And like, let's just get you focused on doing your job, because you don't need to be doing more, need to be doing this thing specifically. And yeah, it seems like, yeah, on Diana as an assassin, it's like, yeah, if you miss that Q, okay, well, you can E in now to the front line, but now you're stuck in the front line, and it's like, okay, so you kind of need to land that Q if you want to get the double E. And if you miss the Q, then it's like, okay, I could E then flash in, but now I'm like really stuck.
You're deep.
And it's like my team, so that's why you build Zonias like almost every game, right? As Diana, it's like you need Zonias. So it's like, okay, cool. It's like get in there and Zonia ult. And what I've found is, it works really well if you can like get that nice engage and your team collapses. But if your team doesn't collapse, you just look like an idiot. Yeah. You too, right? So it's almost like one of those things that it's like it's harder to pull. It seems like it's harder to pull off if the fight doesn't just go like just how you want it, right? It's not just like instant value. I actually had a question. Have you played pro play?
Yes, I was a pro player in 2015, 2014. I played in the OPL. So I live in Australia, in Oceanic, within the Oceanic Pro League. So I was a pro player for about a year there for Direwolves. And then after that, I moved into a coaching position. I was the head coach of Direwolves for 2017, 2018, 2019. Yeah. And then from then 2020 onwards was more, coaching the average player.
Okay. So the reason I ask is because like in pro play, it's 5v5, but you have comms and you have practice, right? So the game is going to play out in like such a different way. And this is obvious when you watch like MSI, right? It's like, okay, yeah, these games look completely different. Every play is like scripted, like every tower, it's going to be like 3, 4, 5 people bombing it. One person dies, they get the tower. It's like an objective. Like I've never seen that in one of my games, at least in like, bronze or silver. It's like, no way. There's not enough coordination. So in WoW, there was no solo queue for like the majority of the history of WoW, like 18 years or whatever. There was no solo queue. What it was only ranked 5v5, 3v3 ranked. So like you would pre-make your team, you would get into a Discord call or Skype back then, or Vent. If you're like me. Yeah. And you would like talk about strategy, like before in that first, like the gates weren't even open. Like we're like, okay, we're going to start strategizing how this game is going to play out. And we're going to try to practice and execute perfectly. Right. Then and there's a beauty to that, right? There's a beauty to that, right? They're like, you're practicing this perfect, beautiful execution, and you'll mess up. And eventually, if you get it right, it's like, that felt great because there was so much coordination, right? Like me, you got this. I got, it's like, it's kind of like it's really fun. That's what I fell in love with. And then solo shuffle came out, which is what I explained earlier. And the game, you're not in comms. You're getting random teammates. And even a really good rank 1, but random teammate without coordination, the game is going to be sloppy. Very sloppy compared to like a normal 3v3 ranked arena match in WoW. Like so much so that like, even like you take some of the 3 best players, but they're not in comms and they're just playing random stuff. So random compositions, say like, in League, it would be like you took like an Alistar with like a Twisted Fate and like a Lysandra. It's like it might not be like the best 3 champs for like the best comp. It's just like 3 random champs. But in pro play, you get to like handcraft your team of like, okay, I have a knock up and you have a dash to the knock up. Like we were talking about the Diana Yasuo wombo combo or something. It's like cool. You can really like start to craft this stuff. Anyway, I was talking to like Double Lift about this, which is pro play versus like ladder and like solo queue. And it seems like solo queue is just this completely different game, right? Like in my head, I've mainly played like 3v3 arenas. So a lot of like trying to perfectly execute this predefined strategy that of course changes every game depending on how the game goes out. But you're like in comms and you're trying to like do this like perfect, beautiful play. and trying to like see how it plays out that way. And then yeah, when Solo Shuffle came out, I realized like, okay, it's not about that at all. It's just about adaptability and playing the best hand that you can based on how the game plays out. Because every game, like, people are gonna just do random stuff, and you have to like piggyback and play on that. And it's gonna be like not optimal. It's gonna be suboptimal, but it's gonna be like the best thing you can do. And like, to be honest, like I really liked like the coordinated like in voice and trying to get that perfect game. And I was talking to Doublelift about this because I was like, it must be really hard going from a pro player to just like queuing solo queue, because it's like such a like, it's like, man, all these players are just doing random stuff, but that's the game. I'm curious what you think of it. Like, do you like it better? Do you like it worse? Like, is it something that you think about often? Because in WoW, it's definitely a hot topic because solo queue is so new, solo shuffle so new, and it's like all the old players are like, oh, this is whatever, and all the new players are like, oh, well, it gives us accessibility and stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. So, okay. Okay, so there is this kind of like elitist culture sometimes behind pro play where and people try to even the amateur players, like there's like gold tournaments and platinum tournaments, and people get addicted to competitive play because it's like, we're not going to be playing some random comp. We're all going to be in comms. We're going to be working together. It's very addictive for certain people. But when push comes to shove, solo queue actually breeds the best players. And because of the chaotic nature of solo queue, and because you're playing with a wide variety of champions, the compositions may not make sense, and there is no comms, you're forced to gather an immense amount of information because no one's giving it to you. And you have to make the best decision you possibly can, like you said, given the hand that you're dealt. Hence why I think leagues like poker, it's like, I got to play that hand to the best of my ability. And so what happens is that solo queues, it creates this kind of dynamic where the best players will always rise to the top no matter what. And it develops this skill set of having this completely adaptable mentality. You have to be able to play many different champions. You have to be able to adapt to different metas. You have to be able to work with so many different champions. And so imagine, I view this is kind of like what I view League is. In order to climb, let's say you're in Master Tier to Challenger. To get to Challenger, you have to solve 1,000 puzzles. That's what I say. And so what I mean by that is that every game that you're in, you're going to be faced with a set of puzzles. My bot lane is doing this. My jungler is doing this. My top lane is doing this. Based off everything that's happening, how do I solve this puzzle? No one's going to tell me how to solve the puzzle. I have to solve that puzzle. And if I do that successfully again and again and again and again and again and again, I'm going to, my intuition, my game sense becomes so sophisticated that I understand everything. It's like, I know I've been in every scenario. Nothing's going to catch me off guard. So in order to be a successful competitive player, you have to be an adaptable. You have to be an amazing solo queue player. And so in League, what you'll find is that the best competitive players are always the best solo queue players. Right. And there's this narrative that this is a tough pill to swallow for people. It's like, oh, I'm better in competitive play. But that's actually bullshit, because sure, you may perform better in the short term in competitive play because people are spoon feeding you information, right? And the comps are all neat and tidy, and anyone can play a neat and tidy Diana game, you know, where it's like, it's all coordinated and we're all going to go in. But that's objectively easier than solo queue. And solo queue in a way is kind of like, it's kind of like the hyperbolic time chamber. It's like in Dragon Ball Z, where it's like you're training in like this like super like difficult environment. So when you do go to competitive, your mind is just like, oh my God, this is so much easier now. And now I can actually use my creative, I can actually employ my mental stack to think cerebrally about the game. And so like, I think good competitive players are always good solo queue players. So I don't think solo queue players struggle, competitive players struggle in solo queue. The only reason they struggle is like ego. I think that's the thing. They have an ego. It's like, I've been dominating at scrims, and now I'm going into solo queue and I have to play with these, you know, these low level players. But like, they're just not good. A lot of the time, they're just not the best solo queue. They're just not good competitive players at that point. Like, you think Faker, you know, how many championships? He's won like multiple championships. He just plays a shit ton of solo queue, grinds, never complains, is adaptable, and like he's the best. You know, he's done that for years. So like, I think that people have to get it out of their minds that competitive is like this like thing that you can randomly slot yourself into. You have to be a good solo queue player to be a good competitive player. That's sort of the way I view it. And I would imagine, by the way, you know, WoW. Let's say in WoW, what's it called? The new one where it's random
solo shuffle.
Solo shuffle, right? Let's say WoW. That's what it was. Let's say that's what it was the whole time. What I would actually make an argument could be made that if solo shuffle was the way things were done, it would in a way force players to be better individually to make up for the lack of coordination. So then eventually when the organized team play came into play, they would have been better individual players by that point. And an argument could be made for that. This is again pure speculation. I don't know. But I've always been a big fan of like SoloQ being this brutal training environment where you have to take max accountability and you're not getting spoon-fed shit. And so the cream rises to the top. The best players are the most adaptable and can take the most accountability, the most responsibility, and be super cerebral about the game and go above and beyond were the ones that are always the best. So that's kind of like, and this ties into like a huge controversial topic about, you know, comms and solo queue and stuff. And, you know, we had someone come on and we had a bit of a discussion about it. And Nathan and I come from a very like this background of like being borderline elitist. And like, you know, Nathan comes from a WoW background and I come from a high level FPS background. And we were both challenger players for, you know, a long time. And we see the beauty in solo queue. We see the beauty in that chaotic environment. We think it's a very beautiful, like elitist environment. No comms. You know, I don't know who's on my team. I don't want to know who's on my team. It's like it's like me versus the world and the world versus me. And it's this beautiful, like we don't want anything to touch it. And yes, it has flaws. It's challenging. It's very, very brutal. But in saying that, it's kind of what makes it so fun. And if we were to introduce comms, we're not even going to get into that conversation, but it's kind of, it will just make it a different thing. It's just a different thing that I think why touch something that is so beautiful.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I completely am on the same page that like, if you take the best pros and you throw them in solo queue, they're going to be like the best in solo queue. The same is true in WoW. You take WoW pros and you throw them in solo shuffle and it's like a joke. It's like, yeah, they're going to rise to the top like instantly. Like there's no like really good pro that just doesn't instantly do well in solo queue in WoW. But in WoW, there's a ton of really high rated solo queue players that would never touch pro play. They just aren't good enough.
Why is that?
So in WoW, there's so much, it's a different game because there's coordination with CC chains. So I'm trying to think of it like a league example. So say like Twisted Fate stun into Diana knock up into a Yasuo like ult, but then right after into like a Leona stun into like a Blitzcrank grip. That's happening on one target. It's
I get what you mean. Yeah.
So that you keep one guy locked down permanently while you're killing another guy. And the third guy is also being CC'd at that same time. You can't do that without voice. Yeah. It's impossible.
I see.
So you don't. So that you don't develop that skill so that the people that are the best in solo shuffle aren't even like starting to be the best in actual.
It's like a different skill set.
It's a completely different skill set.
Yeah, I see. But it's not that they wouldn't be able to, though. It's not that they wouldn't be able to learn that, right? It's more that they just haven't, right?
They haven't, right?
I see.
But you could always go the other way around. Like you could always take the best in like the WoW Arena Championship, like say like a Sea-Doo or like a Waz, and you throw them into solo shuffle, and like they have the adaptability. Like they've seen this stuff so many times from their thousands of games. But WoW is the other way around. Like solo shuffle is the new one.
Yeah, so that's actually so interesting because I would argue, right, that this is actually a funny experiment. I keep saying this, and no one's taken us up on this bet. I said if you had, let's say you had five a diamond, all diamond four, five diamond four players, and they're a stack, and they're all on comms, right? So they're a team, and they play together for, like, say, months, and then you pitted them against, let's say, five proper, like, low master players. They're solo queue. They're not even on comms, and they've never played with each other before.
Super interesting.
My contention is that the solo queue players would win every single time, basically, because
I can see that in League being true.
In League, because there is no skill set that you're missing in,
right.
You know what I mean? There is none of that, like, everything that you need to know for success.
Each player is just better too, right? Like, there's no amount of coordination. It's like, if you're getting just out macroed, out maneuvered, even with the coordination, like, each player is just better. I can see that being very true in League.
Because it doesn't matter, because imagine, like, in League, it's like, at the end of the day, there's a lane phase. So if I'm 200 LP master versus diamond 4 player, no amount of strategy is going to beat the fact that I'm just going to dominate you in lane, and we've got a lead, then we've got vision, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Right. Yep.
We're just going to out skirmish you. It doesn't matter. That's why League, at the end of the day, is a skirmishing oriented game. It's a fighting game, and that's why I said you have to be. That's why champ mastery comes into play, because champion mastery allows you to, like, develop your mental stack. So I don't have to think about my character anymore. I already know how to play then I can anticipate things coming into me. And so when I go into a fight as a champion that I'm very good at, I know exactly who can kill me. I know where they are. I know what they can do. I know everything. So the fight, it plays itself. It plays itself.
I've only had that experience, like, one time.
Yeah.
Like, so I've played a good amount of Ahri, like, maybe 30 games or something, 40 maybe. So not a ton. That's actually not very much at all. But for me, it's a lot for being so new. And I fought an Ahri as Diana, and I'm like, okay, I know this champ.
Yes.
I know that she wants the charm, the W, the Q, I know the ulti, and Ahri did the combo, and I was like 20% life. But I knew she had nothing left besides autos, so I just turned and killed her. Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like,
that's League.
It's happened once. It's happened one time where I'm like, I know what you have, I know what I have, you used what you had, and, like, I know I'm up top here, even though I'm very low life, like, I can still kill you. That's happened one time in 3 weeks.
That's League. So. And one of my friends, Charlie, he always says, League is a game of cooldowns. You just got to know your cooldown. Just know the cooldowns. Like, if you know the cooldowns, you know what all the champs' cooldowns are, and, like, you're able to think about those cooldowns, the game becomes so much easier. You know, that's, at the end of the day, champions are cooldowns, and the game is cooldowns a lot of the time. So
I'm so glad League doesn't have add-ons, because, like, so WoW is very similar to a game of cooldowns, but WoW has add-ons, and you can track all of them literally above the nameplate. So imagine, like, in League, you could see the cooldown of, like, the Diana Q, and you can, like, see it.
I see what you mean.
Going down, and it's like, okay, there's no Q. Like, you know exactly when that Q is up. The decision making gets so much higher.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, but it kind of takes away from the beauty.
It does. It takes away from the beauty, and that there is.
It's like, you need to be. That takes away from, like, I know that champ and I've played it enough to, like, know generally, like, this is how to play this duel. But if you have the add-ons, it's like. It's much more just, like, mechanical at that point. It's like, okay, I know exactly when it's up. It takes away that, like, there's
another layer there. It takes it, But it's interesting because there is actually add-ons that track some I think summoner spells. I think, like, flashes and shit. I don't use that, but I think there is that, and there's also ones that do the jungle timers.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So I think there are some, but
are those banned in pro play? I would assume.
I'm not. Yeah, I think there's no add-ons in pro play. Yeah, but if you're at that level, like, they make no difference anyway, because, like, everyone knows that. But like, I think I would actually say, though, let's say there was an add-on that came, even though I think Riot don't want that, they want the game to stay clean. But let's say there was, I would actually say that that would only matter up until a point. Like, that would actually only matter probably up until platinum. Because at that point, everyone already knows, for the most part, the cooldowns intuitively. Like, if you main that role. So, like, because a lot of the time, the way I view lane, let's take mid lane you've played mid lane. Mid lane, if you're playing a mage v mage, it's a game of dodgeball. It's like, okay, I know they got a ball. They know I've got a ball.
Right.
And they want to throw it at me, and they know I want to throw it at them. So then,
Yeah, that makes
do you know
sense.
what I mean? That's where mechanical expression comes into play. It's like that's where like you get really technical, like short, long clicks. Like I need to move in a different pattern. The league gets to a point where it's like they know what I'm going to do. I know what they know what I'm going to do, vice versa. And it's like now we really play the game because now we all know what we're going to do. And that's where the mind games come into play. I'm going to change the way like, let's take Syndra. I might go for a W, then Q and hold E. Or I might just go for a Q, then W or a QE. I will change the cadence of my ability usage. I will change the way I move. I might walk up, pretend I'm going to throw an ability, then not throw my ability. So you can, that's where mind games come into play. And there are crazy advanced levels to the game that the average player wouldn't really even begin to understand. You just don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean?
I think in the add-on issue in WoW, I think stems from WoW having like so many keybinds, like 60 keybinds.
That's the difference.
And every ability has different cooldowns. So like you could have a cooldown of 30 seconds. You could have a cooldown 2 minutes. You could have a cooldown 5 minutes.
That's like impossible to track, right? It's like impossible.
It would be impossible. And there's 3 players and they're all doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's just like a fight could take 10 minutes. So a 30-second cooldown, a 45-second one used twice, like you would never be able to track it. But it was almost kind of beautiful when no one did, when like people didn't use add-ons, because it's like you would still kind of try. And the best players would still kind of know, like intuitively, okay, they blinked like about 14 seconds.
It's like a feeling intuitively. It's like, oh, it's coming up. Yeah.
The feeling. And that was, to me, that a lot of that was the beauty.
Yes, like, that's what I love about League. I say League's a feeling, and it sounds weird. Like I always say League's like, you got to develop your intuition and your game sense. And that comes through mass repetitions and solving puzzles. So the formula I always say is you play with as much intensity and intention as possible. And then like let your intuition guide you. What does your intuition in the moment tell you to do? Does my intuition think that I should go in? Does my intuition think that I should maybe not go in? Just do what your intuition like says to you, and then you review that after and be like, okay, well, my intuition says I should. Yeah. And but then you need to employ logic after. So that's where people go wrong in League, by the way. They over-index too much on intuition, where they say, okay, I'm going to play thousands of games. I'm going to put myself in thousands and thousands of situations, but they don't employ logic to actually break down why that panned out the way that it did. And so to become a sophisticated League player, you need to develop and hone your intuition, but you need to employ logic to be like, okay, well, my intuition told me that I should have gone for this. But in hindsight, looking at it logically, does this really make sense? And if you do that, that is the key to becoming a consistent League player.
That's exactly what I used to coach. And I think at a high level, a lot of the times, right after the game, you'll already know. Once you're a really good player, you'll be like, that's where I messed up. And like, you don't need to really like sit there and replay the footage when it's like, kind of right when it happened. When you're a low level player, reviewing the tapes and like looking exactly like, so I played a game yesterday and it was me. I was pretty fed. I was Diana. And there was a half HP Jinx. We were a little behind in the game and they were on Baron. And it was a full HP Trundle, half HP Jinx. Baron was like 8,000 life. And there was a third player, I think it was like a Samira or something behind, too far to hit. And I was sitting there in this moment and I was like, should I go for this steal? And I didn't. And I was like thinking about it this morning and I was like, man, I really should have, right? Because I can guarantee the Jinx skill, I can guarantee the 1-for-1, and I can coin flip the Baron, and we're behind. So like we're like a little behind. Like this puts us back in. Playing safe here would make sense if we didn't need it, or if the Jinx is, full HP in the back line and I don't get the kill anyway, and I don't get but I guarantee got the 1v1 and I coin flipped the Baron to put us back in the game. I was like, that was a play I should have made and I didn't. And then there's the other end, like plays that I made that I shouldn't have, right? But I think reviewing those constantly, like going back to the footage and like really thinking, was this a play that is repeatable or not? Actually, Shock did some gameplay review he was teaching me. I was in a game and I wanted dragon. I'm the jungler and I wanted to pick out dragon, and my bot lane decided not to come. They were shoving bot lane, and I pinged it like 5 times. They didn't show. And so what I did as a noob is I just kind of ran around and I was like, come on guys, let's do dragon. This is like our 3rd Drake. Like come on. And I kind of like wasted 15 seconds kind of doing a bunch of nothing. And then their team ended up showing. So I stayed a little too long, so I had to flash away. So I wasted a flash basically. So I was down a flash and my bot lane ended up doing some stuff down bot. And Shock basically told me, he's like, look, you don't need to do this dragon. If bot lane's not coming and this is solo queue, you can allow the bot lane to do their play, and you can kind of just like either just back with when your bot lane backs, or you can kind of just annoy them and kind of like delay their dragon while the bot lane's doing their play. And the same situation happened the very next day. And I wanted to do dragon and my bot lane was pushing, and then the enemy team came, and instead I just kind of spammed Qs, annoyed them. And then my bot lane was pushing. They got 1 tower, a 2nd tower, then the inhib. And I just kept annoying the back. Like I didn't let them back. I just kept poking them with Q. And we ended up winning the game because the bot lane ended up shoving that inhib. Anyway, just one of those situations where like if Shock never like told me that, and that one out of millions of situations that could occur, and then to start recognizing, okay, in this situation, this play is going to be a high percentage chance of actually paying off. And like recognizing that more often.
That's the puzzle. That's the 1,000 puzzles, man. You solved a puzzle. You know, that's one puzzle down.
One puzzle. I messed up most of them, but I was real happy. I was like, I messaged Shock. I was like, dude, it worked. I let my bot lane make the play.
Yeah. And that's the super satisfying thing when you start to realize, oh wow, that actually I can feel that makes a difference. It's like, you know, just sometimes one thing makes a massive difference with the way the game plays out. You know, it's a really, really awesome feeling. Yeah. I mean, look, dude, there's so many things we could talk about. We've been on for like 2 hours. So is there any other things that you would like to... I got one important question. What do you not like about League so far? What has bothered you? What is maybe an aspect of the game that you're like, oh, like I'm just not clicking with this. I don't enjoy this aspect of the game. Okay,
yeah. Honestly, I am loving it so much. I'm loving that people care. I'm loving that when I make a play and I did this play where I got ganked near Dragon Pit, and I was getting ganked by their mid laner. And I QE to them, and crap. Yeah, I QE to them and flash over the wall. And it was an Akali, and the Akali follows me, and like I basically like separated the two, 1v1 the Akali, and then the other guy's coming around to kill me, but I teleport away to safety. So it's not only a failed gank on their part, but I get the kill and got out. And I was like, it was probably like, you know, one of my favorite plays I've made in like 3 weeks of playing. And I was like, nice, wow, this was fun. And the chat was going wild. Everyone saw it and everyone was excited. And like, and I said this earlier, and when I mess up and I do something really stupid, right? Like I greed an extra plate and I miss my back timing and I'm backing off tempo, or like I'm, you know, I just like do a really bad flash and it's like, what a waste, what an idiot. Like you didn't, like, question mark, you didn't need to do that. Like, I love how invested people are. I love it, man. I love how easy it is to watch and how many people care. As a PvP lover, I've always loved PvP. It's so awesome to see so many people care and invested in a PvP game, where I come from an MMO where PvP is like a small part of it. So I just love that so many people care. So many people can watch. So many people are invested. As a streamer and as a PvP gamer, it's like awesome. And I love like fantasy style games like WoW, and it's like to play League, like that's cool. My number one thing I dislike about League, and I already touched on this too, is I don't like click to move as much. For me, it's like it just breaks my brain. Like to click to move champions just feels like it feels kind of out of date. Like, is that weird to say? Like, it just feels so weird to like, okay, I need to click every time I need to move. Like for me, if I could move my character with the keyboard and then even aiming with my mouse, sure. Like a game like New World, you move with the keyboard and you still have aim. That like skill shots and stuff, like that's awesome. But for me, the moving with the mouse is probably the thing I dislike the most. And I might be biased because I just suck at it. Like I'm really bad because I haven't practiced the skill. I'm like 2.5-3 weeks into practicing the skill, but that's got to be like the only thing I can really say. Like I just not only do I suck, but I think I would like the game a lot more if I could move with my keyboard. But that's the only thing. I'll probably get a lot of pushback on that one too, but it's my experience. So
no, I think there's actually a lot of people that think the same. It does take time, man. MOBAs are a weird thing. I mean, not sorry. What's it called? Yeah, MOBAs are a really weird thing. The first time you play them, it feels unlike any other gaming experience like you ever have. You know what I mean? Like when I first played League,
it's a lot of mouse dexterity. Like
Yeah.
my mouse hand in WoW is like fairly passive. You move a bit with them, like it's kind of hard to explain. You like right click with your mouse to turn your character, but it's like the mouse hand is fairly passive. It's a lot of left hand keyboard APM. Like you could do 300, 400, 500 APM, like moving your character with the keyboard. The mouse hand is pretty passive. So like I'm a good gamer, right, with my mentality, but like my right hand, like with my mouse clicking is like super noob. Like I've never honed that skill. Like all the keyboard stuff. Like I can use my F keys, like F1 top lane, F2 mid, F3, F4 bot support. Like I can use those way easier than I can just like move my character.
Wow. Yeah, by the way, that people find that really hard. I can't even use them. I change my keybinds. I don't use the F keys at all. A lot of people don't use the F keys because it's so far away, from where your Q, W, E, R are. It's like it's so difficult. So yeah, props to you for sticking with that. Yeah, I think it was
WoW player. As a WoW player, like you have so many keybinds. I'm like, oh, I only have like 6 of these. Like, okay, cool. I'll use my F keys. And in WoW, I do use F1 through F5 as keybinds.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
And I use F1 through F5, tilde through 6, Q through Y, A through G, Z through B, and then Shift almost all of those, Alt some of those, and Control some of those.
Jeez.
So yeah, and it's like playing the piano, kind of, right? You're just constantly.
That's incredible.
Well, it's just a different skill set, right? Like I said, I think League at the highest level is a harder. There's like more to think about, right? The map, there's so much happening. So I'm not even making the claim that WoW was like that hard, but it has its difficulty. But anyway, like the F1 through F5 or F1 through F4 in League is like, oh, that's easy, right? Like that part's easy, but it's like the click to move. It's like I've never practiced this, It'll
just take time, I reckon. I think a few more weeks and you'll become second nature, dude. I think it won't be. And also League isn't, again, like we've been talking about today, League is such a massive anticipation-based game that like your clicking doesn't need to be overly sophisticated at this stage of your journey. Like you can have relatively unsophisticated clicking until about Diamond, to be honest with you. And then that's where you could probably need to ramp it up a little bit. I actually don't even work on clicking that much and like the movement patterns until Emerald, maybe. So before that point, you'll be fine. You'll be completely fine. We're going to go into your gameplay today, but I think it's just gone a little bit too long. I would love to take a look at your gameplay at some stage. So maybe we can circle back and I'd love to do some coaching of your mid lane gameplay. If you do when you come back to mids, I'd love to check out your gameplay. Did you have any other things you would like to talk about or questions you had, burning questions about the game?
Dude, we covered a lot. This has been awesome. We could do like a one short final question. If they did add WA State of League, I talked to Double Lift about this, and I want to hear what you have to say. Do you think it would be at a pro level used like better, or do you think it would not be used? It would be like really, really newbie to use it.
I really struggle with this because I can't visualize how it would work. Because if you think about it, right, the only reason WASD or whatever, the only reason that works is because in WoW you could turn your character, right? Because with your mouse, right? Because in League you're stuck with one perspective, so you can't turn. So I can't visualize how it would work, because how would you turn your character? You know what I mean? Like I get it.
So they added it to PoE, and I think they added it to another one of these the genre of PoE would.
But PoE you can still turn the map, can't you? On PoE? Oh no, you can't. Can you? You can't actually.
No, it's fixed.
It's fixed. So
it's
how's that
fixed.
work?
Yeah. So if you want to move down, you hit S. If you want to move down to the left, it's S and A at the same time.
And it turns your character around as well.
Your character will auto turn. Yeah. And then if you want to move down and to the left, you hit S and A at the same time. But if you want to aim up, you would then aim up with the mouse and then hit like Q for your.
I see.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know. It's really hard for me to answer because
I've spent a lot of time thinking about it because it is an interesting question.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't have an answer. I'll be honest. I don't have an answer. I'm so. Okay. I think for me, movement in League is so like. I think it just makes sense the way it's done. Like, I don't see how it's a problem. Like, it's just a different skill set, and I think it would just. It's like it's been that way for so long. I can't imagine it changing. I know Riot did talk a little bit about it. So I don't know. I'll have to give it some more thought. I don't know. I think it's quite a deep one because I think it would have a lot of consequences in terms of the way abilities you use and even movement patterns in lane. I would say just intuitively, initially, it would probably make short, sharper movements easier.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it would do because the tricky thing in League, right, is that you have to use your cursor to move, but then you also have to use your cursor to aim. So then the thing is you have to have very fast APM to be able to click close to your character and do short, sharp movements, but also aims. But I also think that's the beauty of League. It's like,
right.
You know what I mean? So at the same time, so I don't know. I'm a bit elitist in that sense. I'm a bit like old school. I played League for a very long time, so like I don't like anything that touches the game in that way. I'm very like,
I understand that. Like even as someone who hates click to move and like thinks it's just so hard to do compared to what I'm used to. I respect just keeping it the way it is because the game is so beautiful and it might just like kind of ruin the integrity of like the movement. So for example, you have to move the mouse from the bottom of the screen to the top, to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom, to the top. That takes a certain amount of skill. Now you could achieve that same thing by just hitting QE, QE.
Exactly.
Keeping the mouse over the player that you want to kill. QE, QE, QE. It takes no hand movement. You could just do this.
Yeah.
And then if you, instead of just standing still like ever, you could just go QE, QE, Q, or not Q, I use QE, but you would use A and B. 80, 80, 80. So your character would always be jittering. Always.
It would make the League like combat so complex. I feel like it would add a layer because think about it.
Be able to dodge like way easier.
Be able to dodge way easier, but it would also, in a way, wouldn't it be less? Make the game in a way less beginner friendly, wouldn't it? Because hitting skill shots. Oh no, but in a way, skill shots would be easier at the same time because you're not having to move your mouse. It would balance out. It would just balance out, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the downside, and this is what Double Lift said, is like you only can really move in 8 directions. Up, down, left, right, diagonal, down, diagonal, the other way, then diagonal up in both ways. So you can really only move in 8 directions. So you're limited in that way. So Double Lift made the claim that like the players are so fast with the APM anyway, and you lose a bit of movement precision. It wouldn't be worth the trade-off. So
there's actually something that you should probably look into. Maybe I'll send you a DM about it. There are exercises in Practice Tool that I think would be very important for you to do if you want to really like just quickly learn that skill. There are things that you can do, for example, in champs like, there's champs like Orianna, right? And Orianna has the special kind of ability to cast abilities while moving, right? So you can throw your Orianna ball while moving, okay? Now, what that means is that you can work on this, you can develop the skill very easily or very quickly of moving and spacing while dealing damage. And so there's exercises that you can do in Practice Tool, which will probably be up your alley, even if you don't play those champs. Put a dummy on either side of your character, or even just pretty far away, and then try to walk up to one and cast your ability and do what I call a fade away Q, where you cast your ability and then instant run away, or you can run up and then run backwards and throw your ability backwards while moving another direction. And so what that does, you build the muscle memory of quickly moving your mouse to throw your ability where you want to throw it while also moving at the same time. And so I think right now I can see that you're probably struggling with casting abilities but moving in a really like intentional way. So I'll see if I'll jump in practice. I'll send you a video. I'll just record it myself, and then it could, you maybe even just do it for like 1 or 2 minutes before you queue up, and I think it will help develop that skill.
Dude, so you're exactly right. Like that's part of like the like just getting used to like kiting while casting in the backward direction. That's like one, but like, dude, it's even more basic. Like I've done stuff like I'll click, I'm trying to think of like an example without showing you, but like I'll click on the dragon pit. And I think it's going to path me one way and it paths me the other way.
I see.
I would like just never, and then I'm like spam clicking and it's taking me through the team fight. And I already moved my camera like a little bit. So it's like taking me through a spot that I didn't even know. And then I'm just dead. And I'm like, wait, I was like, oh, it like really entry level mistakes. Like someone even worse than Iron would, you know, like stuff like that is happening. Or like I'll click like kind of close to a wall. I think like I'm trying to like flash out a dragon.
I know what you mean. It'll path you away.
It'll path me away. So I'm running out of the dragon pit instead of close to the wall. Whereas like if I could just move with Q and if I just move with my keyboard, like that would never happen to me. You know,
yeah, I see what you mean.
I'm like tripping over my own shoelaces. Like I feel like my dexterity is just so bad. So like for me, I always tell my stream, like, I know I'm missing all these like fundamentals, or actually Shock has taught me a lot of them, but like I know I'm missing like a lot of this big stuff and the champs, but like I can't believe I can't even just move how I want. Like that to me is still just like I said, if I were to play Smite and know nothing about Smite, still being able to just break people's ankles with my movement because I'm confident in my movement, I think I would still just like instantly be better. So anyway, yeah, for League, you're probably right though. I should probably stay click to move.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Xaryu. I really thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. I think you're a very humble and intelligent and a guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your journey. I'm looking forward to hopefully get to take a look at your gameplay at some stage, and I would love to circle back later on once you've gone deeper in your journey. We can maybe do a round two, a bit of an update with where you're at, and yeah, thank you for your time, man.
Hey, sounds good, Curtis. Thanks for inviting me. This has been a blast. Yeah, I didn't know it's going to go this long, but it's been great. Like these conversations, like almost philosophical in a sense, and just like diving deep into this stuff. It's just been a blast. So thanks for having me, and I really appreciate it, man.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for another video soon. Cheers.